can't take me.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome tonight to our surely but late meeting. It's about 7:09, so Ms. Derry, if you would mind, call the roll, please.
Mason Brown.
Here.
Ralph Baker.
Here.
Carlos Addison. Ben McDaniel.
Here.
Lance Terry.
Here.
Tim Terry. We have one.
Thank you. If you would please rise, we will begin our meeting this evening with a prayer led by Dr. James Burgess and our pledge of allegiance by Chief Will Dawson.
Let us pray. Would you bow, please? Father, we're thankful for the many blessings that you've given to us. Thank you for this great nation that men and women have died to preserve the freedom of. Father, we thank you for this great state and this good community and all of the many blessings that we have received at your hand. Father, we thank those who are serving and watching over our community. And we ask that you guide them, give them wisdom and understanding, and help us, Father, as citizens that we might support them. And Father, we ask that you be with us in this meeting. But not only at this time, we ask that you be with us in our walk of life. Help us, Father, that we might walk in a way pleasing before you. Father, we pray for our leaders statewide, our leaders of our nation, that peace and harmony might exist. Father, we ask that you bless us, forgive us our sin. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Dr. Burgess. Chief. Did you notice everybody, we couldn't find the flag for a second? Tough one. At this time, I would ask the council to consider approving the minutes for the August 5th council meeting.
Mayor, make a motion to approve those minutes.
You have a motion?
Second.
And a second.
Taylor Daniel.
Yes.
Ralph Baker.
Yes.
Mason Brown.
Yes.
Lance Terry. Tim Terry.
Yes.
Thank you. On the agenda, we are at recognitions and acknowledgements. I'd like to go ladies first. Actually, we have two ladies I need to recognize. We'll do introduce, and I don't think there's any introduction needed, but Ms. Diana Hewitt-Ladd is here this evening. She is currently running for circuit judge. And Ms. Ladd, if you'd like to address the council, you may do so.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, Mr. Handy, and Ms. Perry. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate you giving me a few minutes to speak to you all. As you know, I'm running for circuit court judge. I've met most of you, know many of you for many years. For those I don't know as well, I'm 50 years old. I've been married to my husband Jeff for 20 years, and we have 2 boys. The position I'm running for is Division 7, Sebastian County Circuit Court Judge, and that is the new position that the legislature just recently created. This position consists of about 50% of family law type cases such as adoption, guardianship, probate, and juvenile dependent neglect. The other 50% will be civil type of cases. If somebody was hurt in a car accident, or a person in a suit slave for personal injury, or they have an employment discrimination case, or a breach of contract, those are the kinds of cases this judgeship would hear as well. People ask me, why in the world we want to be a judge? And I think about that and I think, well, it is pretty great. I've got a long-term partnership with my brother-in-law, who's also my partner-in-law, John Berkamp, and I have a lot of flexibility. The pay is not bad. It would definitely be less pay, less flexibility, But the reason I want to do this is because I care deeply about people, and I care that we have a good judiciary. People need to know that they can come to court, have a judge with integrity and a judge with experience, and a judge that will follow the law. For more than 25 years, my passion has been to help people and families in crisis. And every day, y'all, I listen to people going through a crisis. Every single day, I sympathize with their wrongs. I celebrate the rights, and I encourage them to rise above. I believe that we were put on this earth to help people, and as many people as we can, and we can do that by ensuring that we elect qualified judges to the bench. We need the most experienced people. I'm the better candidate in this particular election, not just because of my passion to help people and families, but because of my experience. For about 20 years, I've been litigating hundreds of cases in Sebastian County Circuit Court. I've also prosecuted for district court for about 17 years. In circuit court, big decisions are made. It's very different from district court. People lose custody of their children, they can go to prison, they can lose a lot of money. A lot of things that are dear to people are at stake. Because the stakes are so high, we have the right to a jury trial in circuit court. It's really important that we elect somebody with experience in circuit court. And I have that experience and have had it for almost 20 years now. It's just important to me that we elect somebody that's the most experienced, and I do feel like I'm that candidate. I would really appreciate each and every one of your vote. And it's not till March, so you have lots of time to think about it. Does anyone have any questions for me?
We thought you did, she left me out there.
I left my family out.
Well, my good partners.
She was my legal secretary for 2 years, and she got out of law school. She was my, members of the firm for how many years?
Gosh, I don't know. Time's gotten away from me, probably somewhere along those lines. And then I've been out with John Burkett in my own partnership with him for.
So needless to say, I think a lot of her, so I appreciate your support for her.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you. Anything else?
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for being here. Good luck.
Thank you.
Also visiting with us tonight are a couple of folks from out of town, and we accept folks out of town, believe it or not. Daniel Allen and Cheryl Schluterman from Raymond James, thank you for being here. This is in regard to the bond issue that we'll be speaking about here in a little bit. It's always good to see Miss Tia here. Bless your heart for living with Tom. Moving on.
For sure.
Miss Hamby, thank you for being here. And I know Miss Marilyn Gray is here to speak to us a little bit later too. So, and everybody else is here. Thank y'all for being here. I am going to recognize Stuart because he's not here tonight, and we'll act like we're not going to recognize him in October because then he'll be all hurt and all that. But he just finished up his 4 years or 2 weeks. Is that right?
Yes.
Training at the Chiefs.
Yeah, for executive fire officer.
Executive fire officer. So he informed me today that the next cards that he will order for business cards will have that on that card.
It's a very prestigious.
Yeah, it is, and it's a big deal. We're very proud of him. We will actually plan a little something for him next month when he's back. He's with his family tonight. I think they have ball games or something tonight. So I laid him off. So we gave him a hard time today about being gone for 3 weeks. We told him we really didn't even know he was gone. But that's what we do to Chiefs to Brian. So we'll talk about that next week or next month. Committee reports. You have, I believe, all the written reports that we typically get. It's not Sebastian County Boys and Girls Club. I know Kenny came by today to bring his report by. SRCA and Parks Commission. Mr. Goldstein is here. If you have a question for him regarding anything that's going on. Or wastewater commission. Mr. Bailey said he would be late. You guys report, okay? Yes, sir.
Question for Parks.
Okay.
Just about the column being hit on the square again.
Pretty cool, huh?
Update on that.
They told me it was an initiation. Every parks director had to go through it. But I think mine's the worst of all.
We're going to keep building it until we get it right. We do have a claim.
Yes,
with the
we have a
insurance
claim.
company. So I would take it from there.
There were no injuries.
Is this our fourth or fifth time? Is anybody?
Number 5.
I believe 5.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Anything else for Mr. Goldstein or?
Didn't there go rock
concrete.
all parts,
I
flat.
know, I want a solid steel.
She wants to
beam.
stop them.
I want to stop them before they get to me.
We don't want to kill anybody.
Right, I suggested a moat, nobody's boat around the square. Pretty cool. We've had duck races, layers in.
Lazy River.
Lazy River. Mr. Powell has joined us this evening. Any other questions or comments about the, and as always, I remind you that those directors of these entities are not here this evening, but I think we kind of let it up to them to come once a quarter. I don't know that they're all even doing that. I want to visit with a couple of them and see that, kind of get that back on track a little bit. I will say at this time, what's on my mind is we don't have it in front of you, we'll discuss it in October, is the contract for the Senior Citizen Center is up this year, so we need to be looking at that and decide what we want to do about those, actually 2 contracts, right? Lease on the lease, and so we'll talk about that in October in detail. Waterways, Mr. Bailey, I think. I saw him come in. No? Okay. You want to give a report, or if they have any questions?
He's going to be here, he's running late, so it'll be just a little bit late. I'll just read John's report. Work started on the water and sewer extension along Highway 71. Work progressing well, relatively quickly. Contract period is 120 days. We expect work to be completed within that time period and probably somewhat quicker. Meeting with James Fork, finally met with James Fork in August. They did not accept our offer and are preparing a counter offer. It will be high and more than we want to pay. I think that we have 3 options. One, they have to be prepared to significantly raise water and sewer rates over the next decades, but we will grow, potentially, Fort Smith level water rates and hookup fees. 2, let them have the water if they can, and we provide the sewer. They will probably require Jacob Merton to spend considerable funds to upgrade lines and ditto to future developers. This could slow growth. 3, go to court, high risk.
And you read that just like Mr. Bailey would deliver it. Exactly.
Could you explain number 1 there again, potentially Fort Smith low water rates and hookup fees?
Yeah, I think what he's saying is pay their asking price and be prepared to raise rates and maybe parallel water, Fort Smith's water rates. Because Fort Smith's rates have come up, especially wastewater, but I think that's what he's saying. That's what I got out of that.
When can y'all expect a counter offer? Don't know.
I would have already expected it actually. I think their counter offer is simply going to be the same exact offer.
Same offer.
It seems to me that their engineer made a comment, if you're not prepared to pay around $400,000, you're probably not going to have a deal. That was a comment off the cuff. So that's, and that's, I think 376 is where we're at, so I'm kind of thinking it's going to be the same.
Do you know off the top of your head all their board members?
Stanhope Lucas, there was one.
Shirley Walters.
Yeah, Shirley Walters.
The doctor.
The electrician?
He's from Hackett.
Terry.
They're all there.
Isn't it Terry?
And they've got a new fellow, I'm not familiar with him. He actually.
Is it Terry DuBois?
I think it is.
Cowboy hat.
Yeah, he's the chairman.
So,
What do you have to be on their board? Because Shirley Walters lives in Fort Smith.
But she still owns property
Okay.
behind where she sold her house. She still owns
So if
it.
you're a property owner and that they serve, then you can be on.
I'm not sure.
Dr. Burgess, do you know the rest of them? I'm sorry, Tim.
Dr. Roberts?
Shirley Walters, Terry DuBois.
I think Mr. Allen's got him on his phone, I think it's.
Yes.
Dr. Steve Roberts, Jim Lee. Du Bois, Wilkinson, Walters.
Okay.
Say Jim Lee?
Mr. Jim.
Is Stanhope Wilkinson not still on the board?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
And one thing that they are firm on is, we'll just add this, that we're interested in a 71 corridor in this property that's looking to develop, and they have about 45 customers going eastward in town. And they don't want to sell us that without us buying those. And those actually have a value because they make revenue, but the problem with that is at some point in time we have to do a massive infrastructure upgrade. We could go along for some time, so that's another one of the issues. We're not able to buy just this piece. It's either this or nothing, all of it or nothing. So that's a bit of a challenge because being our specifications, at some point, it may be in the future, we could look along for a while, but we would definitely be spending a considerable amount of money to bring up our specifications.
I want to add to that too, that we, Mr. Bailey and I had a phone conference with 4 attorneys, which yes, I said there was a little joke about 4 attorneys in one room, but then anyway, where am I? With Municipal League. Mark Page was not in the room at the time, but they had 4 attorneys, or 3 attorneys, and one came in a little bit late as the conversation began. And basically, it was John and I just describing our situation to them. I had talked to Mr. Mark Hayes the week or 2 previous to that in Jonesboro at a meeting there and told him our woes. And so those attorneys now have what I feel is a pretty good scenario of what's going on or what hasn't gone on. And so we reached out to them to get some assistance through their help. And in fact, Mr. Burkamp's name came up at some point during this because I think he may be pretty good at this sort of thing. So not that we're anxious to go to battle, to go to courtroom at all. I think Stanhope said at one moment, at one time, weren't we all know each other, can't we get this taken care of? So, you know, it's a bargaining thing, but I think it's very important that we get this lined out and agreed upon to some degree, somehow. So I would encourage, if you were taking names, if you know any of those folks, to visit with them.
I'm pretty good at stepping away out of my bounds, but the folks, who are we sending over to talk to these guys besides Mr. Bailey? Is Radrick involved at all? Or
no, Mr. Radrick stepped down, that's why Mr. Bailey is the chairman. Typically, and I've gone to 2 meetings, and it is Mr. Bailey that normally speaks because he is the chairman of the Water Commission, as you know, Water Wastewater Commission. I go to be a part of it. I don't necessarily have, I have a lot to say, but I'm not an expert on water rights by any means. So it's usually him and Tim goes. I think Mr. Bell has gone, maybe, once I don't know if he's gone, but I know Dr. Burgess, I think, is, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think he's willing to go with us at some point to visit with them.
I think that we are beyond that point.
Maybe.
We've waited
Maybe.
too long for that.
I'd be happy to go.
Okay, Mr. Burton has been there before, but that's about it, I guess, isn't it, Tim?
Can I add just one thing to that? Their engineer met with us prior, in the very beginning, he threw out a price. He had not yet taken it to their board. When he took it to their board, they actually raised the price, so the price went up. And I don't really think there's any negotiating at all. It's pretty much that here it is, if you want it, this is what we want for it. And you know, from their customers, they have revenue and they have outstanding bonds and so on. So there is some reasoning to it. It does, from all the numbers John's put together, and Steve before him, it does seem high for such a small area, especially for the infrastructure we're buying. It's like buying a wore-out car almost and paying a sticker price, you know, because if you put small 3-inch lines that are years and years old and they're overworked right now. But anyway, I just want to add that to you. It's not a lot of negotiating. I don't care if it's business.
Tim, what's wrong with blazing down the highway with a 12-inch fire line, AKA supply line, distribution line, whatever, sewer line, and then let the individual property owners deal with James Fork.
That's certainly an option that we have. James Ford gave us, early on, gave us permission to provide fire protection to any properties.
So
And
if we blaze a fire line towards Fort Smith, that could be AKA distribution line, AKA supply line, we're James Fork's largest customer at this point. So when the contract comes up, we may have an option. We're looking at tying on to Fort Smith, and they're gonna give us this price, what price are y'all gonna give us? I mean, we could play two different ways.
that's right, Fort Smith connection at this point, you would hope that Fort Smith, you hate to almost hate to say this, but you'd like to see Fort Smith come a little bit closer this way, because I've kind of driven it out. It would be a substantial investment. It would be a big cost to us to go to reach out all the way to the Fort Smith connection. But that would certainly be an option. But James Fork's perfectly willing to let us provide fire protection. Fire protection is key to growth, as you know. Without fire protection,
It's not gonna grow.
it's not going to grow.
Or it'll grow, but not in a way that's gonna generate revenue.
However, there's some big concerns that James Fork can't even furnish the domestic end of it, less the fire protection. So without some significant upgrades due to tank capacities and hydraulic grade lines and elevations, and so there's some issues there. But we can certainly do it, and wastewater, we have the right, we have wastewater all over our property right now. So we'll be glad to look at any direction, any recommendations anybody's got. Thank you.
But basically, we're just getting the right to provide water, because, you know, the pipes in the ground are not gonna be really of any use to us. We're gonna have to lay bigger pipes, right?
We could use them on the interim. We could make some quick connections, and we could continue to go about business. But as that property annexes, we want to provide fire protection and fire hydrants, and we'd have to increase the line size, and then we easement acquisitions and other things. So there will be a substantial investment for the long term, and not enough users to really pay for that infrastructure. But where we're going to see it is in sales tax. We're certainly open to any recommendations. It looks like we're at stalemate.
As we grow, is James Fork, at what point will they not be able to satisfy the need of Greenwood?
That depends on who you ask.
I mean, if we get to 20,000, are we still able to be supplied by James Fork?
They had a drought last year, and things were very critical. They're in the process of upgrading their lake, and they have an opinion on how far that's going to carry them into the future. I do not share that same opinion, but it is just an opinion. I think for the long term, 30, anything beyond 30 years is kind of sketchy. That's just my opinion.
So it may behoove us to start planning to run a line up to where Fort Smith is an option.
We've certainly began with just this little, out here on Liberty, this little extension, that's the 71 corridor. We've certainly taken steps to get in the 71 corridor. But right at this point, anything north would have to be a fire line only.
Fire line, AKA supply line, AKA transmission line.
Yeah, it could be a transmission connection line for us.
I mean, if we sized it right, it could be known as a lot of things.
Yeah, you just couldn't sell taps off of it.
It also could be known as a negotiating tool when we go back to renegotiate a contract with James Fork, which would be a win.
I'm not sure on that.
Tom?
We inquired what Fort Smith plans are, and they, you know what I'm saying, I mean, have we actually talked to Fort Smith?
I have some, not in detail, and they're supposed to come down and talk to us in here, probably next month.
You know what I'm saying, I said, it may be a good work out for them, and just.
You know, Fort Smith ever came closer. But
That's what I'm saying, I mean.
Because right now, there's some rough, rugged terrain to cross, and there will be a substantial cost in running a That's one of the
They're
reasons.
gonna come closer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, they
That's what I'm
already,
saying, I mean, we could just find out what the thought process is, and maybe something where, you know.
I told Mayor McGill, well, actually, it was Mr. Gaffney, they put a wayfinding sign about, I don't know, what, quarter mile this side of the exit off of 71 that says downtown, as if it's just right there, which it's 9 miles away. So I told him we're gonna go on the opposite side and say downtown this way, being Greenwood, and he kind of chuckled. But we are having those discussions where we're supposed to get back together and talk, and then to bring you, the council, back some ideas of where annexation would be possibly, but along the water lines. Also, Arkansas resources, right, natural resources, are we're trying to tap into their knowledge and see their opinion. I talked to a lady on the phone once already, and she was pretty helpful, didn't give us an answer, and she was amazed as we are, that we are their biggest, kind of ironic, we're their biggest customer, and we're battling to get rights to buy water from them, and we're not, we can't reach an agreement, so they're looking into it also, so. But truly, I know Mr. Bailey, for one, is looking for an attorney, and we know Municipal League is going to help us, or we hope they are. We pay legal fees to them to help, so we'll see what happens, but maybe we need to get somebody else to do this specialized. Supposedly, one of those attorneys in that ring that day had just finished a similar case. I'm anxious to hear back from her.
And I'd like to know at what point they can no longer sustain us. 20,000 is the mark.
I don't
We
think
need to do something.
I'm not sure you'll ever get it from them, but absolutely.
Well, it sounded like they were running out of water last
Well,
summer.
But if you sit in a meeting with them, I'm not
We're
trying
not
to,
shrinking, we're growing.
I'm not trying to down
We need
them,
to, we need to have a contingency plan for when that contract expires.
if you sit in the room with that board, and this is not anti those people at all, but they're in fine shape and everything's good, and if we mention in the slightest way that you have old lines, they will look at you and say, quote unquote, almost quote unquote, they're working. So, of course they're working. They wouldn't work for fire protection and everything. If you just took the curve, since you didn't do anything else, they can't provide, in my opinion.
Yeah, they are expanding their lake, so they will be able to meet all their needs for some years to come. I see a date out there somewhere, maybe, in the younger generation's time, that they're not going to be able to. That's my opinion. Unless they have another contingency plan behind this one. I would say that we welcome you guys' input. Maybe there's an option of, since it brings sales tax, that the general fund pay a small portion of the water play, and then we wouldn't have to do it. And I'm just throwing that out there, because the sales tax is where you're going to see the return, and not sales of water. The only thing, the problem with what's happening is whatever we do establishes what's going to go on in the future. And if we overpay now, we'll overpay next time.
Which on that point, they as in James Ward, and I know this, and I've said in those 2 meetings, at least 2 of those, and so far, they don't want to discuss anything other than what we're talking about right now. They don't, we, the commission, has put on the table Mr. Sadler's property, such and so on, and they're like, that's not, they want to be very specific about it, because I think, to your point, whatever you do here, they're going to expect it there too. So.
I think if we had a big line going towards Fort Smith, and the revenue that come from their largest customer is in jeopardy, it may be a little more amenable to,
I think so, but I'm not sure that we're prepared to have that kind of expenditure. It'd be a considerable amount of money. We're talking big money for that distance.
if we're gonna have problems in 10 years, we better start doing something.
Well, I think we're good for 10 years, but there's a date out there, I'll assure you, unless they have another contingency plan behind this next one.
Chief Brian told me as he was not going to be here tonight, anytime anything came up, we needed money just to take it from the fire department. So if you want to make a note of that. Sure. They're not even waiting down there. Thank you, Tim. Any other comments or questions about that particular item? So we are at the citizen forum section of our meeting this evening, and we have one young lady that has signed up, Mrs. Gray. If you would like to speak at this time, we will, how this works is if you'll step to the microphone and give us your name and address, and then you are allowed 5 minutes to address the council this evening.
I just want to speak a little bit on animal control, on the feral cat problem. I've been kind of taking it in myself, and I said, it's really expensive. But I was wondering if there was some way that animal control, veterinarians, and other citizens in Greenwood, like it is city thing and not in the city thing, to get some of these animals fixed or put down, or, you know, some kind of work done to save them or fix them where they don't keep them on the farm. I've fixed a bunch of them since I've been here 7 years, but I can't do it all. And I was wondering if there was some way that we could get some, like funds where we could get the donations, do the live sales and stuff to try to fix them. At least everybody won't be leaving nothing behind, maybe.
This is a topic that has been discussed since I've been up here, every year since I've been up here, and it's been, I know it's many years before that, so it's an interesting topic, and it's a tough topic, not a tough question to answer, but it certainly is a hard thing to take care of. I know Chief Dawson is here, he's in charge of our animal control officer, and for a long time, he was picking up all the cats he possibly could, and finally just got to where we could not, city, quote unquote, I guess, couldn't afford to house the ones that we were delivering out to the shelter. To answer, and the council certainly chime in on this, that's what you're asking. Ms. Gray and I had a conversation on the phone, maybe a couple of conversations on the phone. One, she asked about raising funds for something such as this, for donations. And I had told her, and I've never get back with Chief or Mr. Hamby about donations is an interesting thing when it comes to the city. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't receive, depends on what it's for. So I'll let these folks answer that. But yeah, I don't. Mr. Hamby, do you have any thoughts on that?
In order to accept
Correct.
donated money.
Right. I mean, I know we do in certain areas. I know the Parks Department does, but I don't know if it's forced. Like the police department, aren't they a little bit different though, as far as accepting or not?
That's a question for Bill, not that I'm aware of.
No. I'm sorry.
No, they usually cover like for, they take donations and stuff for.
They do. So everything I told you was probably wrong. Sounded like, but for some reason I had something in mind. Yeah, Chief.
It'd be better set up like the vet, where they have the money, and then we can just take, because as you know, we're far over budget from where we're supposed to be already.
Right.
We've added 12,000, hopefully I guess it's through the end of the year, but if someone will set up an account, or the funds go straight to the veterinarian, it'd be a lot easier, and then we know what we have, and can take that amount back, or that, number to the vet to get fixed, but they're just multiplying. We gotta stop feeding them. I mean, that's one thing. They sit around and when people start feeding them, and then they become a problem, and they're falling the same thing with these cats.
Right.
They become their pets, so they're responsible for them once they start feeding them.
Right.
Chief, does the vet euthanize them?
They do.
What is the cost of euthanization over?
I know for dogs, the cheapest one was like $85.
Say that again?
$85
For a dog.
How does that compare to spay and neuter?
Yeah, that's even more expensive. Depends on how big the dog is, but I think it starts out with 110.
Well, there's another kind of behind it. Now, Fort Smith has a place, get some kind of natural fixings for $40 a piece.
Yeah, you can get it cheaper. I mean, there's no doubt. It's.
And I'm sure that they would work out something.
My thing is there's several cities now that have these feral cat populations where they can catch them and spay and neuter them, cut them back loose and then start feeding them. And, feral cats are one of the biggest killers of wildlife that there are. And so I would hate to go down that path where we have colonies of, 50, 60 cats.
Even though they're spayed or neutered.
Even though they're spayed and neutered, they're still.
Yeah, but you know what your life expectancy is out there in the wild. Feeding them or not feeding them. They're coyotes that kill them. There's as many ways that they die out there.
And Mr. Meeker is actually with Game and Fish.
Yeah, that's not so bad. Yeah, it is a tough
Too
one.
late.
They do carry a lot of diseases. They have this crazy bobcat virus that's going around that's affecting people's cats. So, I just don't want to go down that path where we have these feral cat populations. I mean, it's more cost effective to hold them until we see if we can get them adopted or find their owner and then euthanize them. I'd rather do that than spay and neuter and gut them back loose.
Unfortunately, that's the problem. You know, if there was a big long line of people wanting to adopt cats,
Yeah.
this wouldn't be an issue,
Exactly.
but there is not.
No.
And we just have,
I've had homes for many, and I'm really having problems with
And where do you live at, Mr. Green?
out on Grand Oak Drive. And it, it's all country right back there behind me, or it seems like it, over to a point. But then farmers get cats in, and then the cats don't like the country style, so they think they'll be coming into the city, having the babies at my place. And my heart just can't take it, I can't let them go hungry. I won't lie to you.
I think Chief Dawson had a good suggestion, is get, and I would be glad to help you not raise cats by any means, I'm a dog guy, but to address some of the local veterinarians, Dr. Singer, or any of them would probably, I'm assuming would visit with you. I'd be glad to go with you or sit down with them or call them ahead of time or whatever to see if there's some way you could, if you're doing fundraisers, and then donate to that particular. And all three may, back when we were talking several years ago, all the veterinarians want to get together and try to do, that's what they're in business
That's
of.
what you need, they need all of them to get together.
Yeah, and I think they will. There's we have 4 now in town, so.
And I wanted to bring up the subject on animal registration.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I know that all of us who don't mind coming into this one, but when I think about it, if you want to use animal control, people who don't have animals use them too. And they should pay part of that somewhere.
Oh, for a fee?
Yeah.
For your fee's
Because
not as
if,
much or
They
something?
have wildlife laws and they're going to farm them, they're going to use them. So.
Good point.
Well, they do it with their taxes.
That's true. They pay his salary.
They pay taxes.
They pay their taxes.
And as he mentioned, we literally, council approved a $12,000 addition to his budget to, because of the amount of animals that we've been taking out there, we're that much short. That hopefully will, like he said, get us through this year. So I don't know what you started with. 20, so there's $32,000
Just to house animals.
just to house animals.
Is that at foster homes or?
No, that's at our kennel that's out on
Okay.
Washburn Mountain.
So if you would apply for housing for animals, that'd be awesome. Get you fixed up. I'm not playing it down. I'm not playing it down at all. It's serious situation. There you go. There you go. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We appreciate your concern. Thank you. Okay, moving on, we will go to the financial report. Mr. Tom.
Okay, in your package, the first thing is the city sales and use tax report. What I wanted to show you is I gave you 2018 numbers, kind of listed below the current year and prior year. So I don't think yours is red, but it's the 2018 one underneath. You'll see that for the city sales and use tax cumulative, we have a growth of 1.8% so far through August collections that are, July collections reported in August or received in August. Compared to 2018 cumulative, we had a 5.3%. So you see where I'm saying normally, if you look at your graph, you'll see that there's a little bit of a decline in the amount of month-over-month collections for the remainder of the year. So trying to say that you're going to receive 3% might be pushing you a little bit. It might come in between 2 and 3%. It's kind of what we're hoping. You did have a good month of August collection the receipt of August, which was collections previous to August. You'll see we grew 3.8% from the previous year's August receipts. Although in 2018, for that month, it was 7.2% over the previous August. So it's a little bit down this year. Several reasons why. I'm sure you can probably think of a few, but it is better. It's growing a little bit, and cumulative, I'm hoping we'll at least get somewhere between 2 and 3% for the year. We've got 4 more months left. For county sales tax, you're looking at 0.8%, which if you look at the 2018 numbers cumulative, it was 0.6%. So we are still a little bit higher in the county side. So those numbers are still tracking pretty much as expected, or as I thought they would be. Any questions on the city sales and use tax and county sales tax? All right. On the the budget income statement, not the detail, but just the summary statement, a one-pager which starts with revenues. I skipped over the balance sheet. You can have any questions on it, you can get back with me, but I wanted to go to the budget. You'll see that our revenues are 45.57% of our budget collected. And then if you look at the expense, we're 36.46% of our budget, which is a surplus of 9.12%, or $892,000. We're almost full, a little bit more than $750,000. So you're looking at a budget that says by the end of the year, we're supposed to have a deficit of 2.4. That was your approved budget. So we're still well over $3 million up from what our budget was. You'll be able to see where that comes from by looking at the detail. The next one is the income statement detail, which gives you all of our revenues by their categories and all of the expenses. If you go to the last page of the detail, where it shows your surplus and deficit of operations, the last thing that's reported there is called capital outlay. Capital outlay, all city capital improvement projects and all capital expenditures for the city. Right now you are a little over $750,000, right at $750,000 on a budget of about $5 million, a little over $5 million. We're right up at $5 million. So we're starting to spend some capital money, but we're far short of where our budget was. That's where most of why you have a surplus right now is because you're budgeting a lot of the capital outlay that is not materializing right now at this point in time.
Where are most of the capital improvement projects at?
Water, sewer, and parks.
Parks.
Are the only two that are rather high. And one of the things that I wanted to point out to you is if you go up a little bit, about halfway up the page, you'll see maintenance, repairs, and non-profit. I know the mayor mentioned to you that you're looking at the service contract or the senior citizen contract that we have coming up. The repairs and maintenance, we never actually broke out in previous years, so we had a handle on exactly how much money we were spending on repairs and maintenance there. We're at $10,009, which is right at $11,000 on a budget of $2,500. And there's no turning back on that. That is in your contract to pay their expenses.
So what is the breakdown? That 10.
Most of it was air conditioning unit.
Air conditioning.
There. Yeah, that's your largest percentage of that. But then you're responsible for pretty much all of the maintenance that needs to be done there. They bill us or we provide the actual labor for fixing things. So the amount of invoices that we've paid so far this year is right at $11,000.
I think the year was around 6 or 7.
6 or 7 just for the year, about 6. So. And then if you were to go up to fees, taxes, penalties, and interest, about 6 or 7 items down from the top of that page. Fees, taxes, penalties, and interest, 238626. You see there's no budget for that. That is the property tax on the fire building, the building that's out there that's proposed to be fire station number 3, because it's revenue producing, we're paying taxes on that.
So city-owned property that's not revenue producing, we don't pay property taxes?
As long as it's held for public use, and that's it. But this is actually a revenue producing to the public, so.
How many of those places are rented out?
One, yeah.
And what's our property tax?
2,300, and you're getting 600 a month. So, still generating enough to cover that, what I'm saying.
But
The
it
question
was
is whether it'd be better just to not rent it out.
not rent out, or cut the rent in half and rent all 4 of them.
It's an idea.
But if you rent all 4 of them, though, that would just barely cover the taxes.
600 covers that.
Huh?
600 will cover that,
Yeah,
600
that's
a month.
Oh, okay.
That's an annual tax.
All right, excuse me, thank you.
But if you could cut it in half, rent all 4 of them, and double
We might make a deal with Miss Gray for cats and half of that probably out there. Sorry. Just a thought.
Get a lot of pictures of them.
Tom, on the senior citizen center, $10,968. We've, and $2,500 was budgeted. We've approved at some point all the extras. The city council has approved all the extras,
All
correct?
the extras, what? All the extras.
Whatever makes up that $10,968.
That's in your contract. When you approve the contract.
When we approve the
years
contract,
ago,
we're approving the figure,
You
whether
said
we
we
approve it in
pay.
the budget or not.
It is stipulated in the farmer's lease agreement that you're gonna pay all the maintenance on that building.
But we don't have to say on whether or not we deem it necessary or not.
Nope, you don't. And here's the
Well,
deal.
it says to keep them basically in business. And
No, that's-
and I'm not trying to say you shouldn't have that authority, but that's right, but when you're talking about air conditioning,
Sure.
Sure, yeah.
This is
you're not
in the lease
questioning
for
that, I know,
farmers.
yeah.
This is repairs and maintenance. It's not the contract to run the senior
Right.
center. This is the contract you have with farmers
Right.
to have the occupancy of that building. So if they needed a new roof, technically you're paying for it. That's not excluded. But the reason I point that out is you have an opportunity to, by January 31st, to negotiate that contract again because it's up. So these are things you need to be considered.
We've always said indirectly that there's more to that contract than just what we're providing them, you know, and this really,
You have 2 contracts. You have a lease, and then you have a service contract for what the senior center is to perform for the seniors of the city of Greenwood. So there's 2 issues. We pay a fee to the senior center too, for them to operate as a senior center. So you've got farmers involved.
The building lease.
One side, and you got the senior center contract on the other side. All right? Next is your cash flow statement. You'll see that we had a net increase right now of $534,000, or $536,000 rather. It's rather small. But we did experience a $147,000 decrease in cash. They are starting to spend. And that's the first decrease since the month of April. But you're still positive $500,000 in cash flow for the year. All of the city's funds are listed for you, broke out by category. There are 8 funds and all the restricted and unrestricted amounts, tying to the $11,694,000, which is the total in the bank, including all paid cash. And then, because you have some items that are on your agenda that deal with street and street-related projects and purchases, I did give you subsidiary ledgers for the 3 city sales and use tax streets. They will come into play when we start talking about the resolutions and the something that's going to be coming up in the department report on certain repairs and how we're going to fund those. So you have 3 subsidiary ledgers. One is the budget for capital expenditures, city sales and use tax. The other is capital improvements. And the last one is street resurfacing. And there's some things we want to discuss a little bit later. So keep that handy when we get to the resolutions.
Any questions for Mr. Marsh? I wish you could be a little more detailed. Excellent job. If not, we'll,
Hey, Tom, you said in August we had the taxes go up a little bit. I think what you said, if I correct, if I remember what you said year over year. Or year over year, I moved it up a little bit in August.
Okay, you're talking city sales.
Yeah, just.
Like taxes, we just talked about property taxes, yeah. City sales and use tax is up. For the month, we went from, last month, we were at 0.4%. The month over month, 2019 over month 2018 was a 3.8% increase. So,
Trying to figure out what.
cumulative those, which you should be watching, that's how your revenues are tracking from previous year. And right now, you're up 1.8%. Last year, you were up 5.3 at this point.
Just kind of curious what, maybe, I guess, we did a little bit.
My crystal ball isn't working. Hasn't been working. I've been working on a road project, so.
Your 2018 though, Tom, wasn't it, I mean, if you look at your graph, your 2018 was sort of an anomaly to the other years. If you look at May, June, July, August, those months are all ahead of those, what is that, 4 previous years?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So year over year, you were way ahead in 18, I guess. So you're comparing, if you look at the year over year now to 18, you see what I'm saying? Our comps are a little bit.
One of the things I want to point out is that while you may consider it an anomaly year, and then you might have, you can point to something and say, well, it was because of this event. Well, how about if there's growth in your city and you bumped everything up? As you notice, your lines are moving up. You should be able to compare them year to year more apples to apples than to say it was related to a specific event. And I don't think it was. Those lines sort of track the same way. Just as you're growing your city, you should expect that graph to go higher, year over year. They may go in the, February and March, you may always have a down purchasing, you'll always see that dip, and you'll see it come down after the summer's over, after school, back to school occurs, up until Christmas time, when you see a pickup again. But that graph tends to go that way year over year, and you would expect that it would go up. Now, one thing you need to remember is that anything that's a positive, in other words, we're not negative trending, is still a positive. It's still good. Remember, we budget flat, so anything above 0.1 is still a growth. So you're generating more revenue than we actually budgeted for. So right now, we're generating about 1.8% more than what we had budgeted. Remember the discussion we had about whether we should aggressively budget 3% growth, and I advised not to do that, and we'll use the proof in that.
But I guess, I know that that's what Daniel's thinking about, but I know, when you look at the chart, it seemed like for 2018, it really was trending upward. But in the second half, it was kind of trending, kind of downward. And of course, part of me thinks of, McDonald's was revamping their store, and they were out a lot longer than I thought they were, anticipated being out. And I think that might have some effect on there possibly. To the 2018, because I'm thinking, well, if 2019, trends, higher like it did, this past month, all the way through the rest of the year, then I think that might put us in a good light. But I mean, yeah, you're kind of hoping.
You're just not at that right now, what I would consider to be above a 3% growth.
Right.
We've been experiencing over the last so many years. I think their graph showed when I did the presentation, they're looking at, if you look at the last 5 years, about a 3.4% growth in city sales and use tax. There's some years it was a little less, some years it was more. The average is about 3.5. So you're still in a good, favorable position. You're just not as healthy as we were in the previous years. And a lot of that is I looked at as an indicator of that was the permits that were being issued to show that there was a little bit of a down year in the amount of permits. So to me, that indicated, one of the key indicators that you weren't growing as fast as you were in the previous years.
It seemed like even though we budgeted a zero budget, you know, all those years, you know, somehow it seemed like we still absorbed that, you know, that growth in there, you know, the city sales use tax. It seems like
We
we still
budget
absorbed.
flat. We budget previous year's revenues, period. Whatever we collected in 2018, that's what we budgeted for 2019. So anything positive growth, 1% even is growth.
Right.
It's not as robust, but it is growth. So.
All right. Anything else from Mr. Marsh? Good job again, thank you, sir. Moving on to agenda additions, everybody ready? Drum roll, please. We have none. Thank you very much. I know.
You didn't ask.
I know, I didn't. Taking control, finally. Took a while, only took me 5.5 years. All right, moving on. Actually, I'm going to ask council approval, if you're okay with this, to rearrange a few things. First, number one, the traffic relief project update is not necessary because we're going to obviously dive in the middle of this with items 5, 6, and 7. But to not bore to death our guest from Little Rock and or Fayetteville, I think it is correct. Little Rock.
You're not boring us.
Really? You're good? We'll rearrange it a little bit if you like for us to. We can do that.
I've been feeling sorry for you.
She felt bad. She goes, for them.
I don't see a lot of bad troubles otherwise.
Okay, well, let's zip through it then. Number 2, or number, whatever you want to call it, planning ordinance establishing standards for small wireless facilities, first reading. Mr. Bell, I'm trying to get you out of here.
So you're bypassing old business?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Well, he
Yes.
he just said that we're going to address it.
It's going to be in 5, 6, and 7.
Mayor, Council, Mysterio. This is a ordinance on the agenda for the first reading. It's a draft ordinance to establish standards for the small wireless facilities for the city of Greenwood. This is something that's coming to the city in the near future, and we just want to be a little proactive on this. This is basically the same ordinance that Fort Smith is using to regulate the businesses. It sets up parameters for franchises and also the bonding and the standards that we would require of these wireless facilities when they do come to town. I sent a copy of this to Mike for his approval and to Charlotte. And as you know, Charlotte corrected all my bad mistakes. And so this is the, like I said, this is the draft for the first reading.
And I would use it as well, satisfied with it.
Like Fort Smith, right? Did you already say that?
Yes.
The idea is we'll make money off of franchise fees.
Yes.
Correct? We're not getting anything up front. We're just going to make money off of franchise fees.
And like I said, it also addresses the bonding, but there put the requirement on them when they come into town as far as the bonding per incident. And it also takes the responsibility of the city of any damages or anything like that.
And the bonding is $1,000. Seems kind of low for them being up there with a hammer and nail, nailing something into our water tower. Is that
These are not going to be on water tower. These are in the right of ways. You know, what they're doing, sometimes they attach them to the existing post, and then other times they provide their own, but they have to do it to our specifications.
If it's only in our right of ways, or if, I guess like, would there be feasible if they put them on top of these billboards going through town?
No, not these.
So will they, so these things are going to be in the right of way, what are they going to look like?
They are, you'll know what they are, but they're not unsightly.
Okay.
They'll make them look like little fake trees.
It's not going to look like the one up there in Fayetteville.
Well, hey, Fort Smith's got some cell towers with trees.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Well, and I'm picturing Kelly Hendricks, you know, I've always got complaints, you know, about him out there hammer drilling on the side of these businesses downtown, you know, like a woodpecker, you know, these things got, I mean, the intent was there, his heart's in the right place.
I think there's still a lot of concern or discussion with the cities. I know at Municipal League, that's always a topic. They even have a seminar, a breakout seminar of this topic. And as Son said, a lot of this enforcement, it's a good start. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a work in progress as you go along, because somebody stood up at one of those meetings and said, unfortunately, this has been a year or so ago, some of them look like a water tank hanging on the side of the pole, and other ones were not, so.
And I guess he addresses some of my concern in item G, to the aesthetic standards, referring to the state statute, or is that an ordinance?
And again, you're not going to use, no permit shall be issued for non-steel in right-of-way of any subdivision not currently using non-steel poles. A franchise shall wireless facility requiring an above-ground pole in any area that the city is served by underground utilities. So, like I said, they have to adhere to our subdivision standards.
And that gets into G4, a franchise permit for use of a decorative pole in any subdivision using decorative poles should require approval of the planning and street department.
Yes.
Okay.
As far as the state statute, I was trying to look that up. I mean, I was having trouble finding it.
Which one?
The 23-17-503.
It goes from 503 all the way up to 516, I believe. And this is under the current, the one that's just been passed. So if you've got an older book, it's probably not in there.
What is this small wireless facility? These just going to be trying to provide what for us?
These are the 5G systems that are coming into the.
So similar to the gentleman that was here wanting to put stuff on the water tower, same.
No, this is completely different.
And so can you go out there on the state internet website and see this? Because I mean, that's where I was looking at. I guess I didn't see it. You know, I couldn't find it over there under the.
It seemed to me like the one that I had was one that the municipal league provided, you know, the updates for the last session.
Whoever's bringing one of these to town, or entity or business, whatever, they're going to be standing at that podium before anything goes in the ground.
Well, they would have to come to the mayor.
Yeah,
And the mayor would probably get with Tom, whoever, Charlotte, as far as the franchising permits. And then they would come to, the mayor would probably say, you know, I would be the person that they contact as far as the permitting and you know.
So in that, sorry.
Go ahead.
In section 2B, it talks about the mayor, what you're talking about, but it talks about administering the permit process. We need to make sure that we have that, right? I mean,
We need a form.
form to do that with, so we don't get, blindsided.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's my understanding that we have to allow them, but we need this to.
Yes, we have to allow them, but the state statute gives us the authority to
Control the aesthetics.
yeah, come in and set our own rules like that, but we can't say no.
We have to allow them, that would.
Yeah.
This is in right of way, it's not to be confused with tanks, which this is just in right of way as opposed to mining.
So if we allow this, we'll have to allow the gentleman that was in here earlier to put it in the right of ways. I mean, it's the
If
same
he
thing.
wanted to go on right of ways, I think that's.
You would come back to six.
That's
what he's asking.
Yeah, he would be bound by this ordinance here.
The water tanks is.
He's trying to make
They're
that
not
high
necessarily, they're not necessarily along right of ways, so that's my understanding.
And is Sonny, or is there a certain area that each small, tower, covers?
That I don't know, AC, that would be something that we would get more into as they're coming in, and, they would present us with a plan, and, here's what we want to do, here's where we're, whether they want to say, give us a plan for the whole city, or a certain part of it, if they're going towards the school or something like that, then we would be able to look at, it'd be, like I say, kind of like a subdivision, plat, they would give us the plat showing what they want to do.
Yes, I was just
And
kind
then they
of
would give us elevations of what it's going to look like and things like that.
when you say section, whatever, 2E3, when you're referring to the bonding, it says up to a total of 10,000. So I was thinking, could there be a possibility that they ever have more than 10 sites within the city? If they had 20 sites?
I don't know, like I said,
As long
that's,
as they're not within 300 feet apart, so there could be a bunch of them. Right.
And so I just wonder, is that 10,000 per the state statute, or is that what we're just saying up to 10,000?
to the state statute, the 2317, 516B.
That's what I was, wondering.
Could, I'm trying to picture what this could end up turning into. But maybe not be better if we provided the poles in the places that we wanted them. And then
I'm sure the law doesn't state it that way.
if we provide poles in the places we want them and then rent them.
I think you want to box it. This is pretty much federal regulation.
Okay.
And I was just wondering, does that mean AT&T has their set, Verizon has their set, Sprint has their sets, through a town, or?
I would imagine it's kind of like the cell tower now, they would use each other, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know that much about the technology.
Sonny, I'm happy to put it on for reading one, so we got 3 more readings.
Sure.
I'm gonna review that ACA 23-17-508. I'm interested in aesthetics. We can pass things into addition to what state laws said, right?
I think so.
I may have comments in the second reading.
Good. Like I said, that's why I want to put it on for the first reading. This has been passed and approved by Fort Smith, so we'd be, running parallel with their ordinances.
Has Fort Smith adopted it this day? And is it adopted just like this? Or have they added to it?
Basically, just like that. I copied theirs, changed the name of Fort Smith to Greenwood, and I think there was a couple of lines in there where I said something about the planning department and the street department getting together, and with where the posts are going to be and the different subdivisions. But other than that, 99.9% of it is what Fort Smith has passed.
We'll make a motion, we put this on the
Second.
first reading.
That first and second, first and second to do what he said. I lost it.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Jim Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Unanimous. An ordinance to establish standards for small wireless facilities in the city of Greenwood.
Thank you. Number 3 on your new business is street department authorization to purchase a dump truck.
There's an associated resolution. We didn't have time to pack it at the top of the paragraph. Loose on that.
I feel like the city street department needs a new dump truck. Our military dump trucks are old and they're breaking down and they're not doing the job that we need to do. We demoed a Mack truck, which is a little bit bigger than the truck that we have on this resolution here. And we did one job with 2 people rather than 5. So this would be just more efficient and it would fit us really well.
So this is coming out of city sales and use tax streets.
Let me explain why you're getting that instead of a resolution for this year. And that is because this truck is not built. What we need is an authorization for you to go ahead and order it, but it's going to take at least 5 months in order for it to be prepared and ready. And we don't pay for it until we pick it up.
So this could be dealt with in 2020 budget.
Exactly. We're going to put it in the 2020 budget under city sales and use tax, but we need you to authorize the order to get it committed, and then you're gonna see it in the 2020 budget for city sales and use tax capital expenditures.
Okay, so you got two things, 3 and 4, coming out of city sales and use tax streets. And this is city sales and use tax streets when the citizens voted on it, they check marked it, it was for traffic relief. So how do these generate traffic relief? These two apparatuses.
I can't say that's the only thing that city sales and use tax was for, because historically, you've been using it for capital improvement, you're also using it for capital expenditures. You bought the combo roller with it, spreaders, snow plows, anything that deals with the street and street repair, and that's what this truck is being used for. Last time they did a repair patch or whatever, the two little dump trucks out there had them working until 7 o'clock at night, when one truck would have done it within hours. And so it's much more cost effective and efficient. The equipment that they're using right now is a 1990 old military where you can't even hook a trailer up to it because of the electrical. The electrical doesn't work, it blows up everything, and as far as what he's been telling me and what we've been dealing with is it's pretty much in a state of disrepair. So they need something in order to be able to function, to repair the streets and keep the streets functioning. That's what this truck is for. It's not for picking up limbs and brush, it's for maintaining the roads. So,
but both of them together, $250,000. We've spent probably 13, 14 years now saving, we got 2 million?
right at 1.9.
1.9 million. So we've spent 13 years saving for traffic relief. Now we can spend $250,000 out of it. We've been buying some, backhoes and snow plows and other things out of it. At some point, we just got to save money because we're needing how much for the
You're going
bypass?
You're gonna hear that.
tonight. That's what these folks.
If you'd have gotten what we had presented to you, none of it's coming out except $500,000 point in streets. Street's gonna have to be making a road that connects the current Main Street down to what RDOT is planning. But we've got with what we've put together, a financing option that doesn't have anything to do with street financing the entire project.
And this dump truck will be used for that.
The dump truck is going to be used for roads and road repairs, yes.
Okay.
Where did $250,000 come from?
$250,000 is the $500,000 that the refund refi is not going to fund. It's going to be a 5-year operating loan, remember?
I think he's talking about the $250,000 right now, so it's 3 and 4.
3 and 4, and 4.
Hey, Dennis,
Yes.
what happened to Mac? More than $4
The
million.
Mac is gonna go back tomorrow, it's just a demo.
I know, I mean, what,
It's 165,000.
Right.
165?
That's not the one.
That's not the one, that truck stands a little bit too tall for what we need, and the equipment that we have to load it and all that. So that one was just a demo.
I don't like buying things I can't pronounce.
Oh.
HIMO.
Who's the service person for this?
This is Shipley Motors. This truck has a 16-foot bed, a 14-foot bed, 16-yard capacity on it. The trucks we have right now, close to maybe 6.
Are we going to buy these two things? Are they going to be set out in the sun, or do we have a place to store them?
Actually,
Oh, you got a place to store.
Okay.
actually, we have equipment shed right now.
Okay.
In addition to these, they've got more.
I mean, one thing too, though, this equipment is outside equipment. I mean, we will store it.
Things last a lot longer
Yes.
when they're stored under cover.
I have my old back over the cover right now. Yeah.
How long have we had this current truck?
The military trucks are what we're talking about, and Joe Hayes, I'm not sure exactly how long everybody else is.
Or out the bottom.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
About $4,000 a piece for one state auction deal. Probably get something out of
And
it.
just so you know,
May I make a motion we adopt this resolution?
one of these is coming out of this year's budget, which is the street sweeper, and the other one is coming out of next year's budget, but it is only representing a third of what you're generating in city sales and use tax for the street department. So technically, even next year, you're not dipping into this $1.8 million for the dump truck. You're actually planning it in the budget process for him to use the current collections of city sales and use tax. So he still has an opportunity to fund about another third into that fund that he can use for, making the road, actually building the road.
My problem is we seem to have a problem saving money. We're always buying something out of money that was intended to be saved for a certain purpose.
Well, sometimes you have to spend money to be efficient and to be cost effective.
On
Right
that
now,
note,
it's not.
let me-
The labor alone would justify purchasing this truck.
On that note, let me read the ordinance that put the tax in place. 1/3 for traffic congestion. This is your part of the street of that tax. 1/3 for traffic congestion relief purposes, including particularly without limitation, constructing and improving streets, roads, trails, sidewalks, lighting, bypass, and bridges in order to relieve traffic congestion and any paving, repair, curbing, gutter, signs, and drainage improvements, equipment, and land acquisition, and street lighting, utility improvements, and traffic signals related thereto or in support thereof. Equipment is the key. There's nobody more protective of his money for this traffic relief than me and Dennis.
I'm not arguing that it's illegal. I'm arguing that we've got to save money. So,
But we've got a plan.
I'll second Daniel's motion.
That motion is
Hey,
second.
what color is this thing?
What color you want?
Lovely. Red.
Yeah, it's sold on the other.
It can have a blue cab, silver, bed, silver bumper.
Are we fixing to vote this resolution on all this stuff that's on this contract pricing?
That's what this is.
You got the dump truck only. You got
That's
one.
next.
You got one for a sweeper.
It's the honey one.
Well, let's talk about quarterly vehicles.
He's combining.
He's combining the two.
We passed one on the other.
Yeah, you're only one's record.
Yeah, I'll second it. We already got
We got a motion and a second on the,
I'm a Lance Auto, the other Mac.
on the Heine. Does the Mac not come in the size you need?
No.
They don't make a small Mac? That's terrible.
Plus it's got bulldogs on it.
I'll put that Greenwood logo on it.
I can get you some bulldog.
Well, I know.
And the American flag.
It's kind of like about Ford and Chevy.
Ready for that
Yes, ma'am.
vote? Les Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Stick around. You're next.
On the next resolution, there's a street sweeper.
The street sweeper's coming out of this year's budget,
Yep.
and by keeping them clean, we relieve traffic congestion.
I think we had sand on our bridges from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
This actually could be moved to O&M, because he's got $1 million in O&M right now, so if he needed that, and I asked him, I said, you need to be able to convince city council that you absolutely need this.
So the
I'm convinced.
What the mayor read was traffic congestion and equipment for traffic congestion. And a street sweeper,
It's a vital part of the maintenance of the streets.
We're a tree city that,
We used to have
or a
it.
city that's designated a tree city, we have lots of leaves that fall down
Excuse me.
around our city square.
what happened to our other street sweepers?
It's sitting out there like a dinosaur,
Okay.
and we've been trying to patch it, repair it, old, trying to find parts that go. We repaired the top motor, and it just, every time we start it up, we have a problem.
So let me ask you, what's going to happen with these old dump trucks?
I'm gonna put everything in the auction, and at least recoup some of it back. I've talked to the people that do have the 10 square, the
sweepers.
And he might have a man to buy wheels to sweep.
So what's the intent to do with the money that's in O&M?
Covers his operating right now.
And there's enough there?
He's got $1 million in the fund, and we go to his budget. His budget, he's decreasing his $1 million by $41,000. That he budgeted a deficit already for 2019. This would add $150,000 to it.
So why should
But isn't that what you add to on this, your financial report,
That's
3 pages?
That's if you approve $146,000, we'd have to increase the budget, which would increase his deficit of $300,000 in O&M, in city sales and use tax this year. Because he's committed $300,000 in excess of his revenue stream. If you were to go to your budget, you'd see that. On the O&M side, he's committed a deficit of $41,000, so this would add $150 to that deficit should he hit this budget. Now, if he saves money elsewhere on his O&M, he could absorb some of that. See, right now, in the capital expenditures, he's about $8,500 already to the good on the 2 projects, the new roller combo and the spreader snowplow, that he's already purchased. So he came in under budget on those. So theoretically, he only needs about $135,000. Doesn't need the whole 137,000.
So, just looking at the final page on here, you're saying if we do include the street sweeper, we could end up at 276,000 surplus?
No, the final page, there are 3 separate subsidiary ledgers there. You're looking at street resurfacing.
Oh, okay. So,
Okay, the
all right.
middle one is capital improvements, and the first one is the expenditures.
Okay.
This is only on the expenditures. Your initial budget was $55,000 that you approved for the combo roller and the spreader snowplow. He came in short of that, but now you're looking to add $146,000, so the actual budget will rise to $154,000, and depending on him being approved for purchasing the street sweeper, he will probably come in right at or slightly under that budget. If you think it's better to take it out of his O&M, that's an option too. He does have a capital expenditure area in O&M. It has the walk-behind jack compactor, an open front brush cutter, dozer blade, a concrete saw, and a Dixie chopper mower. But that's what was in there. Usually we budget in the O&M small types of equipment that he needs to operate under the big equipment that he needs. So if you want to throw a sweet streaker over there, it's your prerogative.
I would look at it as a capital expense itself. In respect, this really does hopefully last us, several years. I make a resolution that we.
To me, it's however they want to approve it.
Make a resolution. Excuse me, I make a motion that we adopt this resolution. As it is. As it is. Make a motion.
We're arguing about the resolution.
I've
He's
never
thrown
heard,
off by the 119 dash. I just
We're
number
gonna
them
vote 1
later.
and a 2.
Yeah, no, I number them later.
I never got clear.
You have a number that I don't know what the number would be.
I usually
She
don't put
numbers
anything
them
up there,
afterwards.
and he's confused now.
I never got clear, Tom, on the, if it comes out of O&M, what kind of tragedy is that going to create, if any?
Well, he's got a fund balance right now. If you go back to your report on the fund, you'll see street has a street fund checking of $1,019,000. So you're going to take 150 out of that.
I mean,
It's not going to kill him. Fund balance wise. Remember though, salaries come out of that, your health insurance comes out of that. So next year's budget, we're going to have to watch that fund balance and see.
I would interject here that, not to say everything Tom does is perfect, but
That's the money.
we do put a lot of emphasis on
Have
what
him
he
pay for
does,
whatever
what his
he's
jobs
working
are,
on.
and he brought it to us with the suggestion. Again, it's your call. but he's looking at the budget as a whole, and I know Tom well enough to know this, he doesn't look at it as it for next week, he looks at it for 3 years from now. So whether, and I don't think it puts him in dire straits by any means, but he sees much more than I see in that budget and working to it.
I second AC motion to adopt this resolution. As is.
As is.
Have a motion and a second to adopt as is.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you. That's done. Thank you, council. Number 5 is, the reason these folks are here this evening, we've got a couple, 3 issues, I guess, actually 5. Being agreement and understanding for Greenwood Highway 10 capacity improvements. Those are words of the highway department. And it's there somewhere in your packet.
Mayor, before we get going, the only questions I had for our study session the other night,
Yes, sir.
I got home, I got thinking, you mentioned something about the state referring to a truck route.
Yes, sir.
Now, is that what they're, would be deeming?
Correct.
So is that gonna cause us to do a bunch of legislation where trucks can't go through here?
Unless they have a destination here.
They would have, if it's local.
As we
Yeah.
don't know.
Right
I
now,
didn't-
10 is designated as the truck route.
That's right.
Well, that would be 10.
Right.
Correct, correct.
But it's designated as a truck route.
That's
right
why,
now,
that's,
which goes across our city street down there, single ships. Designated as a
Now,
truck
did I have
route, tells trucks.
I will tell you that I had a long discussion about that specific, if that was how it was told to me. That they are, that this is a track route, and that, in fact, on that, I know that very specific, because as I got excited more than once giving this to RDOT or presenting it to RDOT, I got a little over zealous, I suppose, and I said, just imagine, if you will, a Casey's and a whatever along this dotted line, and all 5 or 6 of them brain kind of looked at me and said, no, not really. And I said, okay. And their point is, if you're going to make a truck route to get those trucks out of your town, the last thing you want to do is slow them down on another section of highway. The idea is to get them out of here from Peak Bud on. Absolutely, that's where you want those businesses.
So are we selling this to RDOT like we have a truck problem?
They did the traffic study. They know what we have. They have already done the traffic study and said, you're good to go. I will say this again in public, they said, you kind of, and this is, it's a horrible thing to say, but I understand what they're saying. They said if you had more fatalities, it rose up real quick. But the traffic issue is a no-brainer for them. They've already done it. It's been a couple of years ago. They're expediting, according to read kind of close in these resolutions. It also comments, or maybe in this agreement, that they're going to expedite the environmental study on it. So,
I mean, I know that the low boys will bottom out down there by the police station, and I know that we get the normal semis take out our square deal along with the drug people. But I just want to make sure that it was more of a suburban Denali problem than a semi-truck problem. I mean, the traffic's, I don't know if it's being sold as if it was regular convoys all the time.
No. They're aware. They're aware of the amount of trucks that do come from them, because that's the only place they can go.
Right.
Downtown, that's it. No, it wasn't sold as we got too many semis coming through town. Not at all. We let them decide that. When I say we, it was sold to them, or it was presented to them as a traffic issue. Yes, school, we all know that, which now extends into later hours, and everybody coming back and forth. It's not 3:30 anymore, it's 5:30 to 6:30 out there. And a bigger sale, if you will, that's why it's not a sale, is the safety issue. Here at RDOT themselves, it doesn't have it on this map, but RDOT themselves came back with a map, and at the top of it, the most important part of that was a 60-mile reroute of emergency services, so that was huge in their decision-making of this is the correct route.
I guess ultimately my thought was we're gonna have to change a bunch of legislation in order to get trucks off of.
I don't believe that's correct.
No, there's one we probably already had.
Right. So the agreement of understanding is on there first. Have you had time to look at that and read through it? Yes, sir.
You know where it says the purpose, see the third whereas, the fourth whereas?
Okay.
The city has agreed to commit construction funding to donate right of way.
Right.
To donate right of way, does that mean that we're responsible for acquiring it?
No, it actually says later on too. Here's my conversation. One of my conversations with RDOT, many times with RDOT, and Dr. Burgess is not here. I think he left. That property is, as you know, as far as phase one goes, there are 4 property owners on phase one. First one being Sean Lynn, right across the road from Keith Glass Motor Sales. He has a section. I've not approached Sean other than, hey, what do you think about this coming through your property? And Sean, as you know, likes to make money. So he's pretty excited about it. I haven't negotiated anything with him. Dr. Burgess, I'm sorry, the next part of our property belongs to the city, which would be traversing across the portion of the drive going into the water sewer treatment plant, which is of course ours. And as soon as you cross the creek, it becomes Dr. Burgess's property all the way over to Roger Corbin's property. So the main focus, or the main piece of property is Dr. Burgess's. He and I have been in discussions. We have a letter of intent from Dr. Burgess naming the price. It's not a contract. I'm not holding him to it. But he's honoring it, if you will, as far as the price goes, and that was established, I guess, 2.5, 3 years ago now. To answer your question, and I asked RDOT, I'm negotiating with Dr. We've had negotiated with Dr. Burgess. He said that's fine. You can do that, and you can acquire it, and so. Dr. Burgess, as you know, I've said many times, will not receive any funds for this until he believes this is truly going to happen. He doesn't want to take the city's money and tie it up for any reason other than for this problem. The warning I got from RDOT was not to go out and lowball somebody for some property that I know is going to be intended for traffic relief. And I don't tell them that, which of course I'm not. But if I did that, federal funding would go away in a heartbeat. I can't do that. So. The other properties I know, as I'm told by them, she said, we can go ahead and include it and kind of throw it into your 20%, or you can do your own thing with Dr. Birch's property, and then we will acquire, because it says here in a couple of other statements that they will acquire the other easements. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Where are those other statements?
You got it in department will, in the same document you have in your hand, page 2. Be responsible for all design, environmental documentation, right-of-way acquisition, and utility relocation for both phases of the project. So that's a generic form, but they're actually saying more than what, we're kind of struck the heart with Dr. Burgess already.
I see it.
Okay, before we leave that point, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
And jumping ahead to the next resolution, item 6.
Okay. But you have 2, to remind you have 2 resolutions. One is basically signing off, you guys giving your approval to, let's do phase 1 and 2 and get it on the books, and we agree with it, or we're only saying we're going to do phase 1, which I do not recommend, because at a later date that price can change. We can get locked in if we agree for 1 and 2 with the price, but you're not locked in if you only do phase 1. Do you see the difference in the 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so both of them are the same on the 1, 2, 3, 4th whereas. Provide all right-of-way necessary for phase 1 at no cost to the department, comma, provide 20% of cost to construct these improvements, blah, blah, blah.
Right, so that one almost contradicts the first understanding, agreement of understanding, because it's saying that that's on us.
Well, it can
Or
be construed,
either, yeah.
we have lawyers in the room that can help, that you are going to buy this property, donate it to the city, I mean, to the highway department, and pay 20% of this total cost. The 20% of this total that we've had these discussions about, though, assumes this amount of acquisition, property acquisition, correct?
Not to the penny.
So that's a
It
little-
does, but not close.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, it's almost like 20% and right away, you've got to buy this land and give it.
Well, the sheet that we showed you on the board that shows what the city, what they said Greenwood's contribution would be includes the easement. So that $5 million includes the easement. What they predicted the easement or what we discussed.
It includes the easement
on phase
at our
one.
expense.
Yes.
So if we purchase the easement and it goes to the state, to RDOT, will that affect our ability to put water lines along that highway?
They're only purchasing the easement. You're not purchasing the land.
Yeah, you're only purchasing utility, a highway easement, you're not purchasing.
Right, but if-
Not purchasing the land.
And that's what we discussed in the study session the other day, is that if we're gonna go ahead and do 4 lanes, it would behoove us.
Well, not on phase one.
No, I'm talking about phase 2.
Phase 2, I think, is different, that's a whole different scenario. because
Phase 2 is another one.
It's another one.
It's on phase 1.
And it does say that they will acquire those easements.
Okay.
We do not require.
But they don't hamper our ability to put water lines.
And here's what I'm told, Councilman Meeker, is that there's a lot of unseen and unknown, because we don't know, even though we're talking about a $33 million project, and we know that went from 26 to 33, that's not a exact number, obviously. So knowing exactly, what I was told by RDOT is that we, the city, will have input on how this road is, the design.
Okay.
So I assume by that water sewer, which was a great comment, I think, the other night, that, hey, while we're doing this, we might as well be looking at this as a project too, so.
I just don't want there to be something that's gonna hamper our ability.
No, I would,
But I make a comment. You don't want to put water or sewer lines in the state right away. If it's going to be the state's right away, you do not want it in there, because you want to acquire your own easement, because if you get on state right away, that if they ever have to enlarge or anything, you move it at your cost. If you're outside the right of way and they encroach, then they move at their cost.
So will we acquire our right of way at the same time that they'll be acquiring their right
If
of
there's
way?
a plan, at the time there's a plan for water improvement, water sewer improvements, you should probably look at that maybe. If that is the plan, I don't know if that's the plan.
Right now, that is James Fort's area. I am told they have their water lines in the state right of way. If that is correct, the state should not pay them to move that. It should be on them. Now, they may be find some way of whatever, and so right now that's their area, but since they're gonna have to, there's a good chance, hopefully they'll have to move those lines at their expense. Maybe they'll be more reasonable in selling it to us than what they are else, other places, but it's still their area at this time. Hopefully they'll be more motivated.
Thomas, here's, on to Daniel's point, it's talking about, we provide the necessary right-of-way for phase 1 at no cost to the department. So we're gonna purchase, let's say we pay $100 grand.
Right, that was in your estimate.
And then it says, we provide 20% of the construction cost.
Correct.
Are they counting right-of-way easement as part of the construction cost?
No.
It was on the chart.
It was on the chart.
Yeah.
There's 4.8 million and 100,000. That was 4.9 million that we had for all of them. Phase 2, no easement, no right of way. That was all that. The only thing we pay is 1.8 million, which to Mr. Meeker's point, as he was saying, somebody said, why are we paying for 1.8 million of phase 2's construction? But that's part of the deal with getting this whole thing done. we're gonna have to kick in something on that widening of 10.
Well, I think I brought that up as kind of like, we're just wanting to get traffic bypass here. If they want to widen 10 out there, that's their problem.
Well, in order to get that done, we're gonna have to co-partner with them in the agreement to get our part done. And to build for the future.
I touched base on that since we talked study session, and that they echoed what he just said in a different way a little bit, that that's part of the project. It's, you know, we're the ones that requested the phase here.
Right.
This was all one project to begin with.
Right.
And again, I will say this too, as I've said before, that my initial request from them was a 2-lane road, what is now considered phase 1, to connect to what's already there. We're done. And they're like, one are done.
Okay, back to this for a second. Back to where Rod began. 1, 2, 3. The fourth whereas on the item 5.
On the agreement?
Yes.
On the, yes, agreement of understanding. The city has agreed to commit with construction funding to donate the right of way and to assume ownership and responsibility of bypass portions for each phase of the project.
Right.
Should that be clarified to say for phase 1, to your point, that discussion of we're acquiring right of way and donating that for phase 1. We're not involved in right of way acquisition phase 2.
When it says that we're responsible to assume responsibility of the bypass portions, the extent of phase 1, which is the building of the 96 over the 10 that exists today, we're going to assume responsibility for the portion of 10 that exists today as a city street, only that same distance. And then phase 2, when they widen 10, we assume the same portion of roadway from Coker all the way down to 71 on 10.
Well, I'm with you on that, but on
That's what
this,
it's saying.
but, you know, this could be construed, this phase 2, we have to, get this right of way at phase 2 out there about where they built the new, whatever that thing is out there. And so you guys go get that and donate it to us. Because that's what this memorandum of understanding is.
No, there's a comma and an and to that statement. 2 separate thoughts. Exactly how they're breaking out. There's your 4. There's the amount that we pay for the right of way. There's the only. Not included in any of the records. Says it down here in the bottom as well. This is the City of Greenwood purchasing contract. Right now, we're at 4.9. Part agreement. Right now, we're at 4.9. When they talk about we're going to donate the right of way, they're talking about phase 1's right of way, and we're going to assume as they build phase 1 as in a portion amount of roadway equivalent to that. And as they do phase 2, we're going to acquire the right of the amount of the road equivalent to the.
I mean, I don't feel like any of that's gonna happen, like, even talking about, but I don't want somebody a year from now to come and say, you owe me $1 million for this right of way we had.
No, we're locked in, they'll lock us into that not to exceed number, which they don't have filled in right yet. They won't know that locked in number until they put it out for bid.
And the way I see it, I guess, is the right of way for phase 1, in some ways it's already kind of calculated. Well, I feel like they're estimating the right of way for phase 2 to be $2 million. It's the same as phase 1. I know it's not ours, but I was saying that one's dealing with a lot more property owners and I think a lot more hassle. That could easily go over $2 million.
That's why we want to lock in now.
Right, you know, so I think that it's, us just having to provide the right of way for phase 1, you know, is a good benefit. You know, to help for us, because I don't think the cost is going to be $2 million.
And Mike's got a good point here, and I know, let him speak eventually. But when I said to RDOT, asked at RDOT, they understood our relationship with Dr. Burgess, where we were in our negotiation. He's good to go. He was there with us. And I said, you know, you've got the city who's not going to obviously stop us. I mean, sewer department, Greg wants to sell it to me, but anyway, there is a commission charging that. Sean Lynn, what I asked of RDOT was, what about on the other end of phase one, at the end of it, where you meet Pink Bud Nursing Home and a couple of homes in the building that are all owned by the same person. Now, you can take this for whatever it's worth, I suppose, but I was informed by the RDOT that we will handle that and we will do it correctly. Now, so how expensive does that get? I mean, it's his property. It's not going through. The design is not to go through Pink Bud, but it's to go near. So I was just basically said, that's on us. And we will treat those owners correctly. Now, I'm sure there's out there in the world, there's some owner, as I've said before, that may not be excited about that, some, all of them.
But, you know, and also to that point, Mayor, I think we've had this discussion before. The amount of, the price of the property that has to be acquired, there's a formula associated to that with the highway department folks, right? You know, in other words, you couldn't go say, we talked to Doc Burgess and he agreed to sell it all to us for $5,000. If the value of it is greater than that, there's a formula.
No, that's what I was saying earlier. If I went out and lowballed that property, Dr. Burgess and bought it, and he was not, unless he's aware, if he's fully aware and signed something that this is for traffic relief and I'm selling it to you for $5,000, you're okay. If you don't make him aware of that and I buy it for $5,000, then the feds know that's bad, you know.
RDOT said that he would know what RDOT would say that property is worth.
Yeah.
They have to disclose.
They have to disclose the value.
And he's gonna know
Right.
that he's giving it to us at a discount.
And he's already, I mean, to
Tom
me,
says that better than, that's
what you're trying to say. There is a non-issue, and he's not here to echo this, but there is a non-issue with that piece of property. The only issue would be with Sean Lynn, who I think we all, I'm not, he had to sit off, you know, because I'm not dealing with him. And Mr. Corbin, on the other hand, is probably the least excited about the project as anybody, because it traverses very near his business. I think Dan can testify to that, but it is what it is, and that's not my call. That's RDOT's call.
My only other concern with the whole deal is the 20% number. First of all, I wouldn't mind talking to RDOT ever attending some of these functions. That'd be awesome.
Well, I've attended there many times, and it's not, I mean.
One thing that I was, impressed is with the 20% function was just, again, seeing the Denver Bridge being built. And I was glad that the state was involved, because they held their feet to the fire as far as specs, It was, some made them rip it up, I don't know, 2 or 3 times before they got it right.
I mean, if they threw us off the cliff, if we wanted 15%, then I guess okay, but if they were willing, the least we have to pay, the better, obviously.
Well, I would, and I can't vouch, I can't say that I've had them in and we've had them here and we've had that discussion with the whole council. I took it upon myself to be that representative along with this gentleman and Dr. Burgess and a few others, and this gentleman, to go and say, now Daniel, Mr. Daniel was not there when, he was there when I said, what does it take? And Mr. Bennett looked at me and said, if you got 50%, we can get this thing started real quick. That came back with my tail between, Dr. Twain thought, well, that's not going to work. And so several discussions with Senator Pitchen and RDOT and myself, can you get it for 15%? But it seems as though 20 is what they have looked at and said, this will make this happen. And 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, they're circling.
Well, I think we made this point in our study session the other day, that you can say I'll do 15 or 10% or whatever. You're on the
5 year.
You're on the
You're
20,
not going to
40 year
find your
time.
plan for 50 years.
There was just, and I can't think of the town, I wish I could, there was a mayor at the league meeting Charlotte and I attended not long, just a couple of weeks ago, said that he got the same letters that I got, and I still, and if you'll notice, on these things, it says somewhere in there, when funds become available. That's just an automatic RDOT thing. Now, he probably good news.
It's on my list. They've been on my list for.
Yeah, Mr. Allen, probably good news, and Mr. Sluderman, I think, did the legwork on it and checking into it, is that we asked the other night about is it going to take the extension of the sales tax from the highway department to make this happen? I think the answer is no. This is ready to be a reality. So.
And one last time for Thomas, the numbers that we had the other night during the PowerPoints, those are estimate.
Based on the to be not to exceed number? Yes. We won't know until we actually, this is your first step.
Right.
If you don't commit to this, they don't even start that
Right.
ball. So.
And this boy tutor, got her name right, Scott Bennett's assistant, or not assistant, second deputy director, said, among other things, that just because this says $26 million 2 years ago, it says 33, doesn't mean it's either one of those numbers. It may be less than the 26. That'd be great. And of course, it could be more than the 33. Until it's out for bid, you know that.
Bottom line is, I'm gonna say it again, we can write checks and dot i's and cross t's all we want until we sell it to the public.
Yeah, this is all about getting it prepared to present to the public.
I'm just saying though, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
that's the sad part, of doing all this here, is that, I mean, it almost seems like it should be the other way around in my book. We should be able to secure the funding before we ever start. But I mean, like I said in the study session, I mean,
Can I make a recommendation? Let's put it to order this.
Yes, sir.
Number 7, let's go to item number 7 first. And the reason being is that in order to be able to sign that MOU, you're gonna have to know that you can pay for it. An MOU without any backing is really useless. RDOT's gonna see right through it. So there's been a resolution before you to engage, or to engage Friday Eldridge and Clark, Ryan Bowman, and Raymond James to proceed with taking the steps necessary to put it on the ballot. We're making an assumption that the December 10th election. Part of that been discussed back and forth for a while. This resolution could go along with the MOU for RDOT to, in an effort of good faith, that the city's taking the steps necessary to secure funding. I think we're all in agreement that if the voters reject it, there's not much choice. You don't really have any options. We've got some options, but we can't fund the full $5 million without the approval. Voters say no. I mean, what's our grant going to do? They're not going to sue you to make you pay it if you don't have any sort of way of paying. So, but these all work in tandem with each other. The resolution to engage us and start that process, which we would be back in October with ordinances to levy the tax and issue bonds, asking the voters for that approval. That then you send that along with the RDOT stuff. So at that point, you don't issue bonds until we have a number or a very, very good estimate from RDOT as to what those dollars are. Let's say the number comes in at $3.5 million, $4 million. You don't issue as many bonds. Better off. If it comes in much higher, we have to go to Plan B and figure out how to cover the difference. I don't think anybody knows what that number is until it's bid. We could say $5 million all day. It could be 5.2. It could be 4.8. There is really no way to know. One thing we do know is that bids are coming in. If you look at the projects that have been in the pipeline for years, the bids have gotten increasingly more expensive. Those that have waited, it's costing more. So it's a function of if you want to do the project, there's a time value of money, and doing it now is going to be cheaper than it will be 5 years from now. So I'm not trying to hijack the meeting, but those are all corresponding. So to get the money to be able to sign the MOU, we've got to take the steps in the other resolution and then do the ordinances in the election. You can unwind them all, but you kind of have to do all three together.
That's what I was trying to say, but I just couldn't get
He's
to
very good at that communication.
Done in a time or two.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
So, with that, I know there's going to be some questions.
Well, on behalf of some of the councilmen that weren't here, if you could just run through that again, just as far as the financing goes. You know, we're doing the 5 years and then the bond.
What we're looking at is the city issued bonds in 2014 for police station, I believe. What we would do is we go to the voters and ask them to extend that quarter-cent sales tax that was used to finance the police station. The new tax will be, we will ask them first to fund quarter-cent to refinance the police station, and then to fund new projects for the highway project or the traffic relief project. If they reject either part of that, we're back to square one. They've got to approve the refinancing because we need a clean lien on that sales tax. From there, we save some money by refinancing. What's your phrase you've been using?
I use a lot of
The refi.
Refund.
Yep, so the refi, you do that, save some money, and then issue the new bonds. We looked at going 35 years based on the quarter-cent tax. Gets us $4.5 million. The difference, if it is at 4.95, would come out of Amendment 78 or come out of the general fund, or an angel could drop us $500,000 in our bank account. But Sebastian County could give us a deal. Or anybody else has $500,000 they want to do. So that's where we have some flexibility. If we need less, we don't do as much Amendment 78. If we need a little bit more, then it's going to be a budget issue as to how we alleviate that. Maybe we go 36 or 37 years. My recommendation is when you go to the voters, we need to ask them for a little bit more than $5 million. Because if we were to, the number comes in at $6 million, there are steps we could take to issue part of it now, issue part of it a little bit later to get the full amount. So, and I think Ryan Bowman, who will be here next in October, would concur that once you ask, we can't go back and change the number. It's better to ask for a little bit more, give us some flexibility.
Is there a sunset on that tax?
When the debt's paid
That
off.
pays off. But here's the thing to think about, is that right now, the voters approved till 2039. Now, we know that because of the growth that we've had in city sales and use tax, it's not going to actually pay off in 2039. It's going to pay off probably 10 years earlier, 2029, I think is right now. But as long as growth occurs, and even if you don't have growth, you're still going to probably take off some on that back end just at our current rate of our city sales and use tax. Because you're only committing on that bond about $280,000 a year. You're generating right now $330. So at no growth, just keeping it at $330, you're still pulling off the back end. So let's just assume nothing comes off the back end. Voters expect that bond to be taken care of in 2039. That's what they approved. However, this will go to 2055. So that's a 16-year, that's all they're really extending it. And then if we pull off the back end, and let's suppose the growth continues at its current rate, you're probably going to be, if it goes at 3%, you'll be 1 year earlier than the 2039. You'll actually pay off that bond in 2038.
So assuming no growth, we pay off in 2048. Assuming 3% growth, which is a little bit less than the last 5 years, it pays off at the end of the third year. So you're really looking at then a little less than 20 years. But again, all the sales taxes go to it. So to the degree that the project and the right of ways in the second phase leads to economic growth, it further pays for itself. But we're looking at worst case scenario, no growth occurs, it's still affordable with no tax increase. No tax increase.
And we'd be looking at a special election in December.
December 10th.
So this $5 million is set in stone, that's what we got.
Or less.
That's what I'm saying.
More or less.
That's the best estimate today.
Right, I mean, but they can come back and say you need 10.
Well, it depends on the bid, yeah, the bid process is a telltale answer.
But we can't get to the bid process?
Can't get to it.
Unless we
Right, I
go.
understand it, I'm just saying, but you said ask for more than what you need, so
I don't know what the, I don't know. what
that's what I
this-
said, that's where you're going in blind. I mean, in my book, I mean, you say ask for more than you need, okay, we say we'll ask for 6 million, they come back, well, you're gonna have to have 12. Well, we ask for all we can get. but-
That's when I think you go back to the table and you split it up into phase 1 and 2. And you fund phase 1 to the degree you can. And then phase 2, you have to then argue with them that that's why we need to split it, because we can't afford it.
I mean, you know what I'm saying, though, I mean, I think I'm out of line on that comment. I mean, you're going in.
So you're absolutely, you are 100% going in blind with the, granted, we're going in with RDOT's expertise
Right.
in estimating. I mean, that's all they do for a living. I will, granted, I think their bid usually come in higher than they originally expected, which I think is why we see 29 to 33, 34, 35 million. But you gotta take the leap of faith at some point.
Roll the dice.
Well, and at some point, and you mentioned the term lock-in, for somebody to do this for sure a couple of different times, and we've been told that, I mean, that was told to me at Little Rock, at RDOT headquarters. That's a pretty good, that's a nice thing to have which in your back pocket, because you know as well as I do, all things we go into, water sewer line extensions, building a pavilion, Bell Park, we always go in there, and the famous statement from Councilman Ballard is you're signing a blank check and see what it ends up being.
Change orders are, my
That's-
understanding, change orders are on
Change-
RDOT.
Yeah.
Once you start the check for your portion, if it comes in, there's change orders that they require that are engineering related, whatever it may be.
On the other side of that, the reality is that if they make an offer to us, highway department, and we say, no, thank you this time around, it may be several years down the road that we ever consider to do.
None of us will be here.
Some folks probably tend to have long memories of people who reject their offers.
Yeah. Very good point. I can't remember, somebody rejected and that's it. And I'm not, Greenwood does not die in that situation. I don't think for half a second that we die and roll up and crawl into a hole somewhere. But it's gonna stay the same. And I know there's some thought process of, way we like it the way it is. It's not gonna be good.
So if this is the route we get to take, just to get this clear, the bonds that we issued on the police station would get refinanced.
They'd be paid off and we would extend it.
And so basically the police would be kind of out of the.
You would repurpose it.
Okay.
So this new tax would be, it'd be a hybrid, because the new tax is paying off the refinance portion of their debt and funding the new street project. So part of this is a continuation of that tax to finish paying off the police station.
Your payoff's about 2.17 million.
So the bulk, I mean, a good bit of this would be paying their debt back off. Or 30%.
Okay, so procedurally, should we jump to item 7?
I think
in this resolution?
I don't know,
It
I don't think you can go in,
happens minutes
as
apart.
long as they're all done.
you can go in any order. I
It's
just,
just, they're all connected.
I think to comfortably say that you've got funding, the third resolution starts the process to secure that funding. But you can go for it.
And yeah, I just want to be clear too, that if we, approve of this resolution here, item 7, we do have adequate time to address the special election at the next month's meeting.
Yeah, so
Timeline.
So the timeline would occur that there would be ordinances prepared prior to your meeting next in October. We would work to make sure you had sufficient time to review those ordinances. They would need to be read. The rules would need to be suspended they would have to be read one time the rule suspended or 3 times the emergency clauses. Because the ordinance or the notice to the county clerk would have to go in the next day in order to hit the deadline. So, I mean, it's about as tight as we go. I think we have 2 days of cushion. That's an awful lot. But so, ordinance gets passed Monday. It gets filed with the county clerk. I think we discussed that we would notify the county clerk that, hey, heads up, this is coming, be prepared. Tuesday morning, you're going to be getting an executed version. And then you're off to the races. You got 60 days to campaign your hearts out.
I think we counted 63 days the other night.
Are we ready to move forward with some votes?
What?
Let's go back to 5, let's move forward. On 5, if y'all will turn to page 2, the city attorney suggested on phase 1, item 2, to scratch that power line. Correct?
Correct.
Other than that, he claims it's fine, so I'll make a motion, we adopt the agreement of understanding between the city of Greenwood and the Arkansas Department of Transportation.
You said the city will phase 1.2, right? Scratch.
Phase 2, number 1.
Phase 2.
Phase 1.
Yeah, phase 1.
Number 2.
But I thought, what,
About the right of way.
why are we scratching that? I thought that's our understanding now, of phase 1. That was that whole discussion earlier.
Did you say phase 1, 2, or phase 2, 1?
Phase 1,
Phase
number
1,
2.
2.
What your agreement there is that you're going to acquire all the right of way to your cost. My understanding, that's not what you want to do.
Yeah, it is, that's what we've got.
Yeah.
We've got the land.
And we're gonna, phase 2 is we're gonna purchase it and donate it.
Right.
Now, that's not all the right of way for
Right.
phase 1. You've got Mr. Corbin's right of way, and you've got Sean Lynn's right of way, which I have not.
You're also responsible for James Fork, AOG, whatever crosses under there.
Well, in that, Mayor, I mean, I'm with Canby on that. If we're saying that we're going to provide the right of way, then that means we're negotiating with Roger.
That's what I just said.
But I thought you said that the
Yeah.
highway department said they would deal
They
with.
did say that to me.
Well, let's take it out of our
They're
understanding.
gonna negotiate, but they're not gonna pay for it. We are, so what if they come up with $500,000?
I don't have that answer for you. I know that, and I'm the, you know, I just pointed out, you got 3 property owners here, not just one. If it was just Dr. Burgess, we're good to go.
But I guess what I'm saying on comparison is they're saying from Center out to 71, they're allowing $2 million for their right-of-way construction costs. And this part, phase 1 is $2 million. So I think that if they're estimating $2 million for what they're going to have to spend, I think ours will come in less than $2 million, which we have accounted for.
Well, our
in
estimate
funding.
though was changed from 2 million, right?
Our estimate, yeah, the initial paperwork I got back from RDOT was $2 million right-of-way acquisition for phase 1, $2 million for right-of-way acquisition for phase 2. Well, I became very, whatever you want to call it, and called RDOT, and I said, hey, something's wrong here. Can we talk about this? And no, actually, it was when I went back, I guess. No, it wasn't. It was over the phone. And she said, oh, I understand what you're saying. So she said, this is what was asking me. What do you want in there as the acquisition for phase 1? I said, well, the number, and Dr. Burgess is not here, is a $80,000. And she said, so what would you like for me to put? I said, well, just for safety's sake, put 100. She knows very well there's 2 other property owners. Now, is she getting in the weeds of that yet? I'm not saying she was, her answer, or her question was, or her answer was reflective of knowing these 3 property owners.
Right, but I'm saying that we've included
So
$2
$2
million
million
in
and
there.
100,000.
No, we only include 100.
We only included 100.
We only included
That
100.
sheet I gave Rob.
Yeah, the sheet you have is 100. You were initially given,
Because I thought it was
You
saying
got the wrong-
that the whole cost was going to be $7 million.
you got the wrong one.
5 minutes.
Okay.
You got the old one.
Presented the other night.
That's the reason.
Right.
I would like to go on record saying I just saved the city $2 million. I'm not sure that's really accurate, but, or $100,000 less.
I would note that it's customary in these type of agreements that the city is responsible for obtaining the item for right of way. So I see that language being in there, but I think it's confusing when you read it that the department will be responsible for all design, environmental documentation, right of way acquisition, and utility relocation.
Now, will RDOT accept markups?
Well, I think this is the time to find out if it are not will not. We still have a month to tweak it between here and our next meeting. We can have a special meeting or whatever.
I mean, if you're comfortable or not comfortable passing it without that, and you're comfortable with passing it with remove, which I understand, I will be on the phone in the morning to see what the reaction to that is, and they're good to go, because it's contradicting to a degree.
Remove it, if they've got additional problems and they want to explain it, you can call a special call meeting.
Right.
I mean, the fact that we're all sitting up here struggling with understanding, I mean, I think we all understand what we're talking about, but when you read through all of these, it seems to wiggle around from one meeting to the other. And with my earlier concern was.
I highlighted those contradictions before the meeting tonight too, because I didn't want to present something to you that I didn't understand myself. And they are, it is. They are, it is.
So we're striking it or not?
Sir?
We're leaving it in or taking it out?
Well, that's a,
There's a motion to take it out.
yep.
I'll second it.
So we're just gonna vote on whether we're gonna take it out or not.
Pass it without that language.
Passing it, this will
With
be a
that,
vote to pass it
removing
without
that
that
language.
one line.
Okay.
Right away, phase one, the department, no cost.
Everybody understand what we're voting on? Know what you're voting on?
Voting on the agreement with page 2, phase 1, item 2, stricken from.
May I ask, what's your opinion on how this is, you go, I mean, you asked me the question, how they would work this, you know, we don't know.
Well, that was out.
Well, let me, I will say this before we vote, I will, again, check with them in the morning if we get a hold of somebody, and I maybe call a special call meeting tomorrow afternoon.
No, I mean, it's just a resolution, so if all of
That's
it,
right.
just come back and do it, and then come off in October, just make it clean up.
And if they, Mayor, you know, if you ask and this is all confusing to them, maybe that's, I mean, that's a good indicator. Let's clarify this real, let's go.
As much as we
down
can with.
as much as possible.
Yep. Okay, we'll call for a vote.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Maker?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Item number 6.
Good one. All right, again, the fourth whereas.
Which six are you
Well-
on, Rob?
You're voting one or the other on this, right?
One or the other is 6 is either out or, the one you just voted on was a phase 1 and 2 commitment. 6 is a commitment to phase 1 only.
Okay.
Well, no, there's 2 6s.
Yeah, well, because you need to vote which one you want.
Yes, I want the one where we're considering both phases together.
Okay.
And I say, I recommend that we don't look at phase 1 and separately phase 2, and we look at them both together.
So the one that has the 3 little bulleted down there,
This one.
nope, the other one. So that page, so let's do 6A and 6B, so we'll all be able to know.
6A is phase 1.
No, the one you have in your hand says this will be contribution for phase 2 at a later date.
Okay, that one can be 6B.
That is,
The other one is 6A. just
that is
for
basically
you.
saying phase 1 now and phase 2 later, am I right?
Yeah.
Somebody help me?
One of the 3 bullet points is 6A, down there at the 5th whereas.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep.
I said, what she's saying, 3 bullet points is the one that includes both of them.
Yes.
So we're gonna say that in 6B?
6A includes phase 1 and 2.
Okay, 6A.
Which is this one. Right.
6B says phase 2 later date on the 5th, the 6th
Yeah, that
whereas.
should be 6A.
Should
Okay.
have done that before the beginning.
comment about all this?
6A, same thing, city attorney, drew a line through, provide all necessary right of way. I think we should strike that. Take that out.
That's in the fourth whereas,
Fourth whereas.
Fourth
very
whereas.
first bullet,
Right, all right away necessary for phase one, no cost to the department.
Right,
strike it.
that should be stricken. I make a motion that we adopt the resolution with that stricken.
6A.
That's 6.
Striking that.
Yes.
6A, that's correct. Again, you can call a special call meeting if there's just throws a big wrench in the call.
So you're not adopting 6B?
Not adopting 6B, I mean, it's an either or, right?
Yeah.
So it's 6A.
6B.
That's what I want, yes.
With,
That's the both projects combined.
with,
No, I think it's the other way around.
No, it's 6B, it says right there in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, whereas it says the city will determine its contribution for phase 2 at a later date.
Right.
that's
That's
B.
6B.
Yeah.
That means that we're not, it's not all included right now.
I know, just, you don't want it to?
Don't look at that.
Now, we do want it to be included. That's why we're doing 6A.
6A is phase one and phase two.
6B is phase one.
So you don't want to on that speed.
All right, just as long as,
Are we on the same page?
I'm hoping you're voting, and I'm just about to
Somebody needs
say,
to take up 6B.
are you voting to approve both phases at the same time?
Yes.
Without- Okay.
6A.
All right,
15.
good deal.
Mayor Charlotte, you know we're small-minded.
Is it this one?
Yes.
I'm trying to
See
think.
it there? Is that the one?
Yes, it's got the little bullet.
Everybody knows.
Right.
That's the one, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what
That's
I
the one
made,
you want.
that's what I made
Okay.
a motion to pass.
Okay.
Good.
Second.
I'm just double checking your,
You want
Logic.
to strike that line, Charlotte?
Yep, I got it.
Okay.
Ready?
Tom's gonna tell me later, why are we fighting?
Mr. Brown?
Yes. Should
Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Secretary?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Did we pass her out?
Well, I've showed it to everybody.
No, I'm asking Tom. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm going, I don't get
That's not what my concern is, but that's okay, we'll talk later.
You talking about the scratching of the line? Okay.
Mayor, I make a motion, we adopt the resolution engaging Raymond James Associates and Friday over to bond council.
Second.
Motion and second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Ms. Terry? Unanimous.
Thank you. I think, even though we scratched something and we'll find out tomorrow how that's gonna ride or flow or whatever, and obviously you're willing to get back together and talk about it if it is an issue with our side. I very much appreciate you, and I think you've made some major steps toward something very important to the city of Greenwood. I go on my soapbox, but nobody cares, so.
Well, we haven't voted on it.
Exactly. The point is, we worked hard, Tom worked hard, I think, and we're not done yet, but we worked hard to present something to the voters to help them to make a decision. We've heard it for years and years and years. If they really want it, this is the best way so far to get it. So thank you for that.
The mayor has been Greenwood's wheel squeaker.
I have representatives and congressmen and senators going the other direction. Because
Yeah.
when they see.
Tom, I got a
Tired
question.
of that.
I got a question, and, us doing this refi stuff for the police department and all that jazz, what's it gonna do to them in the future for future projects if something comes up, you know what I'm saying?
Well, they don't have it now.
Well, I
Because
know,
the
I know
money's
it's
committed
state
to
the
the
bond,
bond.
but I'm just saying because they're associated with this, and that's what the people passed it for, was the police, and then we're,
For the purpose of paying off. You would have had to have gone back to the voters regardless to extend the quarter in order to possibly get them to approve the money going to operations.
right.
And right now, that would only generate half of their deficit.
Warranty tower for regulations.
You need it for your operations, trust me. But the bottom line is, you're gonna have to look at the budget process now to determine where additional funds can be raised in order to offset some of that deficit. You're still gonna have to do that. You would have to have done that now anyway, because you're at an impasse now. So what I would recommend, there's things that we're going to be talking about that that are already in the works to save money on general and admin. There's the project for the solar, which I think we may have mentioned to you. There's some things regarding, as you just did today, where you're going to generate some additional franchise taxes. Those are not committed funds. Those are additional revenues that will help defray or offset or can be used to reduce the impact of the police department's deficit. But you're going to have to look at it. It's definitely going to be a different budget process this year. I'll tell you right now.
Okay, we are department reports and questions.
Departments, all of
Yeah, street and parks.
that.
Mr. Bell has left.
Hey Dennis, I have a question.
And Mr. Chief's here.
I guess this is streets, I don't know. Someone asked me the other day, this is probably Corps of Engineers, I guess. Right over there by that, the bridge behind the gas station, there's a tree growing up on the pole that's all the way up into the light on the side of that bridge, which I never really paid much attention to either until he told me to look, and I look at it every time I go by. I don't know whose that is. I don't know if that's a street department thing.
Is it on the car wash?
It's a
gas station?
I think it's on Gary Norman's property, isn't it? What about that?
It might be, I don't know. It's behind, is there a trash can back there? Like if you're going this way, just, it'd be on the left side there, right near the bridge, there's a pole, it's got a light.
The bridge by Walgreens? That bridge?
No, right here.
Yeah, he's not out there.
Oh, okay.
So you're talking about.
What I call the Exxon, it hasn't been the Exxon for 30 years.
The bridge between the senior center and Greenwood.
Yeah,
Which side of the road?
left, if you're going that way. Opposite the yellow car wash.
What's it messing up?
Well, they said there's this big tree growing there and it's ugly and it's growing into the street light. Why don't y'all cut down that tree? I said, I don't know. So I drove down there and looked at it, and he was right, there's an ugly tree growing up to the light pole. I don't know whose it is.
We don't usually cut trees unless, I'm not gonna go there.
So, I don't know.
It sounds like
I'm just asking.
It sounds
Yeah,
like.
I don't know.
Do we need to tell you to straighten that out? Put the street light out.
If you'll call me now with the address.
Yeah, oh, yeah. 34 West End.
At your house.
You have been out for a month and a half.
Well,
I just keep forgetting to call you.
just call the office.
Call.
And we'll take care of it.
Call Danielle, and then she turns it in, and they get it.
Call Redford. I don't know what's on there. City Hall.
Anything else for the street department?
Just call the mayor.
Where is it?
Just call the mayor.
I'll send you the text.
I've got it written
Let
down.
me get you a
Put it in the slip
citizen's.
coat hole.
And it's one of those.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to address over the ridge crest with those walking bridges that are trashed out and rotten. I've got a proposal from Rector Shelter to build 2 metal bridges. They're $7,542.12 a piece. I'm not asking for more money. I saved some money on a project, Mount Harmon. And I would like to move that money, or take that money. You've got the blessing, it's there. $15,084.42.
If you go to your second to last page of your report, you'll see the street department capital improvement project, subsidiary levy.
Yeah.
You'll see walking bridge crest, $15,084.
Bridges aren't very big.
No, they're not, but we're going to make them out of metal so we don't have to replace them anymore. And they won't be sitting in the water rotting.
You replaced it twice.
Yes.
Have you got a price from Alltech?
I have not.
Not necessarily.
Alltech, where is Alltech?
Mike McAllister,
Mike McAllister.
across from Greenwood Collision.
I would think, so it's less than 20,000, so you don't have to put it out for bid, but you ought to at least talk to all the metal people in and get pricing from all the metal guys in town.
Did you say those were aluminum?
No.
Or steel? Or steel?
And he's slow.
I do, Alltech.
Alltech's slow.
He's got to park some dates first.
What?
He's got to park them.
Are you sure you're not out on Mount Harmony with that project? Well, you mentioned us as a neighbor.
That's not a big deal.
That's on what it is outside.
One of the
No, he
things
gets
that
to the day-to-day.
is your wayfinding sign project. I don't see that something that will be a high priority or happening this year. That's 9 signs of $4,300 that you're not using on your budget right now. It's probably better to do something to repair a bridge or 2 bridges.
I'm fine with building the bridge. I just think you need to exhaust
I
the
checked
local
the
guys that are
city,
in.
like you said, they're slow, but then those are easy to be done.
Especially when you got one that's very involved in the city, which is Mike McAllister,
Yeah,
who's been chairman of A&P for
I agree.
15 years.
Well, I don't disagree with you. Check with him. If it's a lot cheaper, then we need to start weighing on time because they need to be repaired before somebody.
Sure.
And I'm sorry, I didn't know where Alltech
No, I think that's all we have, direct shelter and
I
Alltech.
did check with some other people who did some work on it, Dozer, and they declined. But, yeah, I will check that.
Might be a stretch from the dozer to a bridge, but
Yeah,
it would be a stretch for all.
That's the way, that's 2000,
I wish you checked with Alltech.
I would go on track. I agree.
Thank you.
Anything else for street? Mr. Bell's back in. You did something planning?
Yes, I do. Sort
I
of.
think we all do.
Well, what I was just concerned about, I mean, I know we're gonna have a special election come up in December, but I would like to ask Sonny, what are our prospects? You know, there's the, Mrs. Ladd was in here talking about the election coming up in March, I think March, I don't know, sometime in March. Is there a possibility that we can get our annexation on that ballot in March?
We're kind of in a holding pattern for Judge Hudson. We've got to have his approval before we can move forward.
Mayor, what's the holding pattern with Judge Hudson?
Sorry, about annexation?
Yes.
What is the holdup? I think we just got to get him all the information that he needs. And I want to be on the annexation train myself. What are you asking about a March election?
Yes. We're not gonna be able
I think we can address that, Sonny and I, Mr. Bell and I, anytime with Judge Hudson and see where we need to be. I certainly, nobody asked, but I didn't want to mix it in with this special election about it.
I did, but I'll forego that if we
Okay.
try to get some type of assurance about the March
We
election.
can look and see what we need to do. I don't know if you've had any discussion with him. Like, I have to visit with him anyway about possibly pitching in on this project.
I've just always felt like, just my opinion, that annexation would have a better chance at a general election than a special election.
Well, that'll be a general election in March.
March would, one, let me ask this, and maybe you should be asking me instead of me asking is, what are we looking at? I don't know that we ever got back at the drawing board.
And we were looking at the,
And those are corridors.
Highway 71 corridor.
That's what we're looking at.
But are we in agreement, are they in agreement with the width of that, for sure? I mean, if everybody's good to go with what the information we have, we'll take it to the judge.
Everybody looked at it.
Next week or
and
whatever.
that was what I presented to the state, and the state came back to me and said, no, you need to go to the county first, and then go back to
Right,
us.
okay.
So it was
Good to
a-
go, start talking to
The
that.
concept was approved.
Okay. So, I don't know if that's an answer, but we'll get with you next week, or this week.
All right.
And I would note that Mr. Burton came in to see me about a week ago about annexing it. He had lots of questions, but I'm trying to get the process started, get it pointed in the right direction, so.
Voluntary
That'd be a
annexation.
voluntary annexation.
Yeah, from what I understand, he's only talking about a couple of parcels that's in it. Instead of
I
the,
think there were 3 parts.
Yeah, not the total. His concern is cost of the private or property taxes as he comes in.
I think he's concerned about that, but he's also has lots of questions about transport.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I would too, that was him.
you know, we got a couple of people that would come in voluntarily, you know, Mike
Mike McAllister is one that he's.
And then, Burton on his, you know, as he grows, he will be recommend. Sure be a whole lot easier to do the whole thing at one time instead of parcel by parcel. That's his property, so.
We'll make every effort to this.
It's my understanding that Hackett's already expanded theirs.
No, I'm city attorney for Hackett.
Huh?
I'm city attorney for Hackett, and they have not. They've
No,
talked
they've,
about it.
they've got the approval, when we talked to them before, they came over and we talked about, you know, where I-49 and all that was. And they indicated to us that they talked to the people that lived along that area and they kind of had their approval, but they're waiting for the stakes to go out like we see out here and say, here's where I-49 is, so that we can know where it is. And we talked to them about partnering with them and wherever they came to the I-49, we come this way and kind of split the I-49 intersection out there, and they didn't have a problem with that. But again, that's a big step for us to annex out that way, because of all the other things that goes with the
So
annexation.
Hackett's discussion has been solely around voluntary annexation,
I see. Okay.
not the
Yeah,
by-election.
yeah.
I was thinking, as far as that annexation goes, what we're proposing, just the corridor, I mean, that would still bring in more, I guess, like, utility line, to increase our franchise fees too as well, right?
You know, the plan, I don't know if you remember the plan, but it basically goes all the way up to the north side of Jim Lynn, and then all the way down to the end of the 4 lane. And then the north side of Innsbruck and the south side of Kingman. So that was the plan that I submitted to the state. And like I said, and then they kicked it back to me to go to Judge Hudson.
Okay, yeah, well,
We'll make every attempt.
all right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, Judge Hudson says, well, you know, sometimes they consider these things like a land grab, and Jim Montgomery says that's the first thing that they would say, but he says what you're trying to do is you're trying to control the entrance to your city. That's what you need to be expressing to the county judge, to the people, if it goes to election, that you want to control the entrance to your city, or you could have a XXX business sitting out here at the end of Pittsburgh, you know, over there where they're clearing that land up. And that's true.
I agree with that. I've already seen some commercial going out there on the second.
Yeah, we got the storage facility, we got residents going in on the right-hand side going up.
All of which are no commercial value,
Device?
no sales tax value to this.
No.
Absolutely the worst thing you could have.
Yep. All that does is take up space.
That's it. So I really like to see that going forward.
We'll visit with him this week.
Sonny, the one-stop tire shop guy's got a hold of me about his building that's out of code.
Yeah.
And something about, he was asking if the city was suing him. I said, well, I'm not suing you, I hadn't heard about it.
You know, he threw the building up without a permit, and I sent him a certified letter. First of all, I went, posted it, and told him you need to call him. Well, he ignored that. I sent him a certified letter. He wouldn't pick it up, so the letter came back to me, but I have a receipt where it was sent. So I sent him a second notice Again, he ignored it, it came back to me, so I turned it over to Mike, and that's when he heard that, you know, the city attorney is gonna get in touch with him.
Right.
So he was in my office today, and, you know, well, what do I need to do? And I said, well, you need to take it down. I said, it does not fit our commercial guidelines. I said, your option is to come in and ask for a variance and go in front of the planning commission and see if they would grant it. I said, I can't speak for the planning commission, but if they're not gonna approve that. I said, it's just too far out. I said, if you'd come to us before and told us what you wanted to do, we could have given you some parameters and had it approved before you ever built it. But I said, you know, you built it without a permit, you run electricity in there without a permit, and now you come in here asking what you need to do. I said, you had a permit for the other building, so you knew you needed a permit for that. So, you know, I'm sorry. I said, here's the steps you want to go to. I said, but I think it's a waste of your money to do that. You know, it's kind of like the little snow cone place down there, threw up that 2-car carport. You know, we could have saved a whole lot of money if he'd come in and said, here's what I'd like to do, but they didn't. So that's where we are. I mean, we had to file a suit on it or anything. It's just, you know, we just wanted to get his attention, and I think we finally did.
Well, he said something about that the certified letters were there, and he said he hadn't seen them. And I said, well, I don't. So, fortunately or unfortunately, I know a postal person, and if there's no box receptacle at the address, they won't deliver the certified.
Yeah.
It'll just come right back to y'all.
And, you know, as well as I do, if you think that somebody's trying to collect on or something on you, you get a thing that says you got a certified letter, and you don't go pick it up, well, you know, it's like Fred Sanford says, you open that envelope, it ain't yours, you know, and that's kind of the way that they do. But, you know, I get the receipt where it shows the mail person tried twice to deliver that, and, you know, they gave me notice if you have a certified letter, you come pick it up. They did that twice, and they didn't do it, and so then they sent it back to me, and so I sent them another one, they do it twice. And
y'all just use the address, it's all like his business.
yeah,
license, I
it
guess.
went to, you know, not to get 815 West Denver, and like I said, I took one of my red door hangers and hung it on his door and said, you need to call me.
Does he not have a box there? How does he get the email?
I guess the house, I don't know. I just figured that wherever he put out for his business privilege license, I guess he's paid for, hopefully, whatever address is on there.
Yeah, see, what I get all the information off the county records.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I'm going for the property owner, not who's on the property, but the property owner himself.
And we're sympathetic, and we try to be sympathetic with these property owners that are trying to build a business and everything, but I think in this particular case, to Sonny's point a while ago, is that he obviously had a permit to get that other building up and running, so he knew the process. So, and he's not the only one that assumes that I'm good to go over here, and they just do that. And I had the discussions with the snow cone owner myself. They accused me of trying to run them out of town and running their business. I said, we want you here, but there's a process you have to go through. And the same question to us, well, what do we need to do? Well, I'm afraid you have to remove that carport. Then you can come back and ask the variance. Which I haven't.
Well, how long I've got to, you know, the last move,
Unfortunately,
48 hours.
That particular building that we're talking about, he finally put a metal front on it, but for a long time, it was a metal Kwanzaa hut with a wafer board front.
You know, that's one thing I couldn't understand here. I was trying to get a hold of him and putting postings on there and all that, and he was continually, you know, investing money in it. We got, you know, electricity in there, and I don't know whether he's got plumbing in it or not, but,
I don't think.
you know, we hear this all the time, Tim. I don't know if you remember the story room out there off of Ridgecrest. The guy said, well, I thought if I did it on the weekend, I didn't need a permit.
Well, I know it's open for business pretty much all day. If you weren't able to get a hold of him, it's because you weren't trying to go hard. I mean, a red tag on the door, Bob, honestly, you put it in there at midnight, you probably might not see it. But, I mean, the kids over there from 8 to 5 in the evening, and they're easy to get a hold of and hand them something.
Like I said, you know, we've got the commercial guidelines that we have to, or the commercial ordinance that we have to adhere to, and, you know, when we tell one that he has to move it, and we can't tell the other one, well, that's okay.
Well, I told him he needed to just check his options and see what he needed to do to get it up to code, wherever.
He came in today, I gave him a copy of the ordinance, I said, here's what you need.
Good.
I said, if you think you can, make this building look and fall under those things, I said, we'll give you a permit right now. But I said, if there's something on there that you need a variance from, then it has to go through the process. And I said, we would have to take it to the planning commission, so.
I'm fine with this guy, I do all my business there. I don't use other guys.
Well, and I've heard good things about it, so.
I just tell you, he asked me, I don't know what track.
Sonny, I have two questions.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of buildings, I think you already know about this, and that Doug asked you about it, but I got a phone call about the storage building out there on Birch Way, something.
One I was talking to you about earlier.
Doug asked me about that, I'm not sure which one it is, I'll go check it out tomorrow.
It's one of these
Yeah.
portable buildings. There's a driveway and a little piece of concrete, a little drive, like a parking deal.
How big is it, you know?
It's pretty good size, and he's stuck it right on the driveway. Like a portable.
Where at?
Down there in your ward,
Forest Parkway?
Yeah.
You mean the one that King Gish put there?
on the corner. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's Birch Way.
It was his.
Well, no, he didn't, he poured the slab, and the lady that moved in there put the building in there, and, you know, it's 200 square foot, and it meets everything that our ordinance calls for, and I've told the people that called, I said, you know, check your POA and your, you know, what is allowed in your neighborhood. That's where you need to go to. You know, of course, we can't enforce that.
It's like brown wood or houses of brick or something.
You know, it looks like crap, but, you know, you can't, pass the ordinance against bad taste. I mean, it's just.
But we had one, so the one, the outbuilding had to match the house. That's the one that's null and void, or we still would have that one now or not?
Yeah.
Accessory building had to look similar to the
And if
house.
it's over so many square feet.
200 or less, we'd have no say so.
Well, I don't think we have to say so then, it's where it's located.
Placement.
And it meets the side yard, you know, setbacks and all that.
So you've already gone out and looked at this building?
Yeah, I thought you were talking about over, off of the old Hackett Road in that area, but the one over there. I know, I like that.
The other update is these buildings, we passed that resolution to tear down these buildings that
Yeah.
were out of code.
Which one?
The one out by me, we were gonna tear down in 30 days.
Well,
That was-
I had talked to her, she, had it, brush hog. She said she wanted to brush hog it because there's some things in there she wanted to get out before they tore it down. I talked to Comer over here, he says she has contracted with him to tear it down as soon as she gets that stuff out, so I talk to her every week, and it's gonna come down.
It's been going on a long time.
Yeah, too long. We got the one on Main Street now, and that sure looks a lot better.
I don't know, we're still fencing on Denver yet.
Do what?
And you're still fencing on Denver yet with that guy that started digging a hole and he doesn't do nothing now? The other Burton guy, who was that? Ralphie's brother?
Yeah. Terrible.
Was that Ralphie?
It's a terrible cut.
Cheryl Cousins.
Give him
I'll
a
go
ticket.
for him around out there.
Give him a ticket.
Yeah. I just
I'll
want,
deliver it.
we got the walls in, didn't we?
No, you know, so far, there's nothing that's been done out there that's against our ordinance.
Except for moving earth without a silk fence. I'm quite certain we've got a silk fence.
There was one down there by the wall.
There was?
Yeah.
Hey, all right, we found, I never saw that.
Originally there was.
Yeah.
It's covered in grass now.
It's all ground.
Mud, it's all dirt.
Probably.
The mud knocked it all down. I just went, it was there. It's not over there.
I'll take your word for it, I'm sure I'll on a walking trail.
Is that where you got it?
It's really pretty long.
Anything else for Mr. Bell?
I like your analogy of Fred Sanford, because that's kind of looks like he lives there.
Which one?
On Denver.
Quonset hut with
Yep.
the door and the stuff.
Like that, you
You
know,
put
Fred
a door
always
in
said,
it,
don't.
Rod.
I did not put a door.
That's why Rod's
Fred,
Rod doesn't care unless he gets the job.
Right, Fred always said, you know, don't be getting those bills out of the mailbox and open them up, because until you open them up, they're not yours. That's kind of the way some of these people do it by certified letters.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Bell. I think you're next, Tom.
Tom, are you awake? When you give us this, I wasn't at that meeting, I was looking at, there's a franchise fee breakdown, AOG, Arkansas Valley, Century Link, Cox, Swepco. Why is Middletown and Jamesport not included on that?
We talked about it.
Yeah, okay, that was that meeting I wasn't at.
Right now, the garage door was apparently
Oh, this was the fine folks from Little Rock, no too.
We were looking at Stevens, we had three bond companies, Region, Stevens, and Raymond James. They were all given the exact same scenario as to what our needs were, what our pressures were on our general and admin, and the edict of not increasing any taxes. Stevens came back with a proposal that was a refund refi, 30 years, generating approximately $2.5 million. And then they turned around and said you can make up the difference with franchise taxes, because you don't need to go to voters for that. You can commit about 130, maybe?
125.
125 or 125, I think it was, of franchise taxes, and you can generate the other $2.5 million. The problem is that when you look at our current budget deficits by individual departments under general and admin, franchise taxes are budgeted in, and that is a no-go. You really can't afford the cash loss that you would have every year over year unless you grab hold of those deficits in the departments that fall under general and admin.
Yeah, but he's just asking.
Well, I know, I'm just saying, as far as, that's where the franchise taxes came in. So what I did under the Stevens thing is I wanted to show you where the franchise taxes are being generated from. The question we had before was whether that's all of those companies that should be generating franchise taxes, and somebody needs to find out if there's any opportunity to generate more. That's number one. And we've got one for the World of Wireless on there. The two of them, which are the Cox and the other, what is it?
Yeah, Cox and Swepco.
Not
CenturyLink.
CenturyLink. Cox and CenturyLink are tracking down their over time, their city social use tax, not city social tax, their franchise taxes are tracking lower. The electric companies are actually higher. We're looking this year, we budgeted $475,000, we're probably projected to generate another $38,000 from that based on how the three electric companies are tracking. AOG, not the electric companies, utility. AOG and the two electric companies are tracking much higher.
So how are we tracking with Middletown and Jamesport?
We're not doing anything on them. They're not even being franchise taxed. Now, that's an opportunity for you. However, I looked at the ordinance that was originally written, and I think there's language in there that you specifically excluded water sewer. Now, I'm not sure you specifically excluded Greenwood's water sewer, because I think the language just says water sewer. So you may need to look at that if you intend on going for the opportunity of Jamesport and Middletown.
If we're doing anything to hamper them, you need to treat us the same way you treat them. So we're up in court, we don't want to do anything on them that we don't do on ourselves. You want to put a franchise on our water and sewer, I don't have a problem with that.
We do, because that is going to be construed as an increased tax. And that was the edict that we had, is not to increase tax, because they will pass that on to the customers.
But if you do it on us, please do it on Jamestown, Middletown.
So we didn't want to do that approach, because it had the most detrimental impact to the general and admin.
Until January 2020.
Until January 2020.
That's when we passed. The
Oh,
special
yeah.
election's over with.
2026.
Good point, good point.
But
Good point.
yeah, the bottom line is, that was not the most optimum way of trying to finance this traffic relief.
And I'm not interested in using it for traffic relief, I'm interested in using it just for fairness. So the ordinance, what is the ordinance?
You have, Does it say
Let's do
excluding
this.
water, sewer?
So for next month, can we bring the ordinance up and discuss it?
Let's put it on the agenda.
Put it on the agenda.
Franchise tax review.
Yes, franchise tax ordinance review. And I want to consider James Fork and Milltown and us, Greenwood. Let's keep it all fair.
I'll do it. Do business
And
then.
you have one other thing, a couple other things to consider, because they're looking at an increase for sewer this year as well. That's gonna dovetail on there. And what about sanitation? Can you include sanitation in franchise fees with cards? And if you do, at your current 4.25%, you can generate another 17,000 just on the sanitation side. However, that's about another 50 cents to all the customers. And that's not, I mean, you're politically committing suicide in doing all of that at once, especially trying to do this traffic relief thing, okay? So those are things you keep in your hip pocket. I told you that's an opportunity that you have down the road if you need it. It's not necessarily something you jump on right now, giving everything that's in motion. But that's why he said I look farther down the road. That is something that you have as a consideration to generate immediate funds.
After December 10th.
After 2020.
Possibly March.
But
By then, we'll know whether we're gonna have a rate increase and how much, so it might be better to wait till after we know what our rates are gonna be.
Cancel it.
The other thing, wait, we got one more
No,
thing.
I do, I still like to look at it, just to see what, if
Let's
that,
look at it and see what it says.
You've got one other thing to
Leave
think
it on.
about in there.
Leave it on. Yeah.
You're at 4.25. There's been some talk as to whether the cap is 5%. I'm not sure, but I think that
We raised it to the state max,
It's
which
either
is 5 probably.
You're only charging 4.25.
I think it's either 4.25 or 4.5,
Yeah, it's at the max.
Whatever the state max was,
It's
we
under
raised
five.
it. It's
except for City of Little Rock.
Okay. So just make sure that you're at where you're supposed to be as far as.
So the other entity is, if you look at sanitation, it's also commercial. You wouldn't just choose residential sanitation, you can choose commercial sanitation.
Right, and then you also have AT&T that's not on that list.
Are we doing, can we look into that? I mean, I guess we can, but who does that? Because the cell phone companies they're not receiving any from them. I don't know, you can't hold them to it or what.
I think me and you have asked the municipal league and did get it, got a non-answer.
Yeah?
Cell phones are typically, are a odd place because they don't utilize the streets. I mean, technically the franchise fee is for use of city streets.
Ours is for whatever.
I mean, but in the statute, it's a fee that is assigned to utilities who use your streets. So like the water utility, they use the street, they've got right of ways, et cetera. The cable providers are using easements. The wire easements. The cell phones, that's been a kind of no man's land.
so they don't travel on our streets to go to their towers to repair them or to test them.
I'm all for trying, but that's just, my experience has been that's been.
So is it tied to our streets or our easements?
I can pull the legislation, but I thought there's language for streets, like the use of streets.
The reason for it in the first place is because they're using our infrastructure.
Yes.
And therefore we can tax them. Is what I understand.
Yes, that was the original.
But it doesn't just be designated to street or anything like that. General nature. We want to do it.
It's how it's how the General Assembly and their really wrote the language. And that legislation goes back.
Still want it on there?
I think he does. You want to add on the, add to the agenda?
Yes, we want to have that.
Okay. Anything else for Mr. Marsh?
I hate to prolong, but I was just wondering if it'd be Dennis or the chief of police, if I would ask them to figure out if they painted these lines wide enough on this new 10 East Head. Wide enough.
That would be hard.
That's hard.
That would be.
That's it. I don't know what's supposed to be wide, but it sure looks narrow from center line to white line. So,
Did you get a wider truck?
no,
Got that walking track.
it just looks narrow to me. I think there'll be some entrapment in these boys, you know. on a lane that's not wide enough, and then they get beat in court. Because of-
We can, I'll ask Art,
I'm honestly asking.
I will ask tomorrow
We read that
all
out.
about this resolution. I want to get a good answer from her about this before I say anything about Daryl.
I'm curious.
Pick your battle, all right?
I got a story about how it's catching.
I call it poking.
So you got Chief Dawson's office, nobody has anything, please, tonight? Who else is here? Sonny's already been hit. Okay, we're gonna move into council forum. I think we already did, but let's do that officially. I hear nothing. Anybody? Council forum?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Before we do that, let me remind folks of a couple of things to be praying for. I know I'm not a pastor, but I always like to, we have Officer Tim Gossett and his family that needs your prayers, his family situation. And then also Officer Josh Morton. I think got a not so great report back from cancer, or at least some of it's back. Is that correct?
It's a better report than he's been getting.
Better than it was. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so that's good. That's praise out, as they say. Remember old Terry, Lance's dad, he's continuing to battle cancer, looking good though. I just told him to come on my yard the other day, he looks so good.
That's why I'm trying to get around you bleeding.
Is he? Okay. Anything else? Thank you all for participating. And I told you it'd be fun, didn't I?
Sorry y'all had to sit
We
there.
have fun. You are adjourned.
Thank you. Sorry y'all had to sit there.
I don't care.
That's